OF, the topic is OF. So if you are an incel and you believe that OF is bad or that OF is no different than prostitution or whatever, we could talk about it. But yeah, the other live, like I said, might have to make some cuts, but and yeah, all of these I might have to do some cuts, but let's see who's next. Okay, next incel. So this is incel number 2, Ka-chow. Welcome back, everybody. What's up, Ka-chow?
Hello?
Hold on, give me a sec. Let me put you on speaker. Welcome, incel number 2. Okay, so state your case. Good job, Pope.
No, I was just listening to some of the stuff you were saying on the previous live.
Okay, go for it.
And I don't know. I just think OnlyFans really isn't a job, to say the least. I mean, it's more of, it is a means of income, but it's not really something that you're working at.
Okay, well, I mean, what's your definition of a job?
I guess it would be something, something with aspirations, something where you can go certain ways up and be able to, I don't know, make a change. Because typically, even if it's something small, like if you're working at, I don't know, let's say McDonald's, or because they use that example, you're still feeding people. You're still doing something that is a necessity. You're providing a necessity, when something like porn or sex isn't really a necessity.
Right. Okay, so one, the aspiration. You said that a job requires there to be aspiration and going up. Could the aspiration be making money? And then 2, could going up in cash and going up in subscribers be the going up? Yeah. So, I mean, because like the issue is, and then the third thing you mentioned, you said fulfilling a necessity. So I feel like that could be a bit subjective, right? Because, for example, would you consider entertainment a necessity? Or something that's important, at least, right?
Not necessarily a necessity, but it's more so something that if you have the money for it,
right,
and you want to spend it, you can. But
can a job be something that does not fulfill a necessity, or no, does it only need to fulfill a necessity?
Well, I guess it could be.
The link has been dropped. First link in the link tree. Wait, go on.
Hello?
Yeah, sorry, somebody just go on. So what was your answer? So can a job be something that doesn't fill a necessity?
Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, with that being said, I mean, I feel like, with what you just said, OF has all those same elements. It might be a nice job, right? Like, obviously, for example, like, I'm sure it's a lot nicer to be the CEO of, like, McDonald's versus, like, working the fry station, right? Working the fry station is going to be, like, might be more work, right? But that doesn't mean that they're both not jobs, right? CEO will obviously be a nicer position, but it'd be ridiculous to say, oh, like, you are the CEO because you're a CEO, like, you're not this isn't a job because you don't do the work that I do. It's like, no, it's like still a job, but it maybe it's a easier job, or maybe it's not so, stressful. So, like, that's where I'm not understanding how OF is not a job, because it's like, the girls that post on OF, like, they're not doing it for fun, because if they were doing it for fun, it would be free, right? Like they wouldn't charge for it. And so, with that being said, it's that because they're charging for it, they're posting, you know, and they're spending time creating the content, right? Because you'd consider like would you consider a YouTuber a job, or like an actress or anything like that?
YouTube, not so much, but
Really?
acting for sure.
Man, let me tell you, YouTubers, man, you have no idea how much they work, honestly.
Actually, I will say YouTube for sure is a job. When you're actually committed to it, yes.
Man,
but
no,
a lot
seriously,
of the time,
they work
like
hard.
the stuff that people nowadays are doing with like all of it's like AI talking, that's not.
Right. Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah, the AI people are probably not doing shit, but no, you'd be surprised. Like, they work a lot. Like, when I used to do my videos, man, I'd spend hours, man, hours. But yeah, so I mean, with OF, it's kind of like the same thing. It's like they are, you know, creating the content. Maybe it's quicker to make the content, right? But they're having to constantly create content. So even though it's a lot quicker to take a couple of pictures and clips, right? It doesn't take as much time to do that. Well, they're having to produce a larger volume, right? With a YouTube video, you know, maybe with a YouTuber, maybe you might only need to post 1 to 2 times a week. Or with OF, you kind of need to always be pumping content. So you kind of get what I'm saying? Like, I just don't see how you still don't see it as a job.
Yeah, no, I guess actually, no. It does sound like, even though it's not something, at least to me, it's not something very desirable, it is still a job.
All right, awesome. Well, I'm so happy that I was able to open your mind up. Like, I think this is the first time that I've, like, been able to, like, you know, teach one of the guys on here.
Yeah, I mean, it's still something that where I feel like, it counts as a job for sure.
Okay.
But I just don't know if it's something, like I said, it's just not something that I would personally like to see somebody doing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and, you know, and there's, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with, like, you know, having preference, right? Like, you might prefer that somebody did a different job than another. Like, you know, for example, like, you know, maybe, I'm just giving an example, but maybe your mom, maybe she might prefer that you be a doctor over a producer, and that's okay, but she's not gonna, like, you know, act crazy or, like, you know, flip out over you choosing to be a producer, right? So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I think the problem is, like, the way the incels kind of react. You know, they react with kind of a lot of hostility and aggression, right? I mean, would you say that these guys are, like, overreacting?
With the hostility, yeah, and all the aggression, it's too much, because at the end of the day, like, not everybody can do whatever they want.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, some of you guys need to take notes from this guy, because some of you guys in the comments were, like, sounding crazy. Well, another W. Well, thank you for coming on. I mean, is there anything you want to say to the chat, or any closing statements?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, if there's something that you really don't like, it's like, if you're getting bullied online, you could just close the laptop, you know? Like, it's not that difficult.
Exactly. Accountability.
But, yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for the talk.
Awesome. All right. I'll see you in chat.
Bye.
Bye. A lot of you guys that were saying crazy shit, like, OF should be banned, OF is prostitution, could really take notes from this guy. Accountability. But I'm gonna add back more of you guys. If you are an incel, you disagree with OF, or you believe OF is modern day prostitution, add me on Discord, shoot me over a message, and we'll debate. There's a guy that wants to talk about marriage, so we're gonna do Isaac on marriage, just because we don't have anybody else in line. So let's talk to Isaac, but the topic is OF. Add me on Discord, it's Olive Oil Run. I'll try to add you guys back ASAP. And Isaac is fumbling the bag. Who's gonna be in cell number 3? Because, yeah, Isaac... Yeah, man, Isaac just fumbled. Okay, so... Let's see, is there anybody else? So, yeah, like I said, if you guys don't agree with me, we could talk about it. Add me on Discord. It's Olive Oil Run. You look like the famous chess girl. Add me on Discord, Olive Oil Run, and send me a DM. Right now, like, you could be next. So if you want to debate me, Olive Oil Run. But, yeah. Isaac did send his message an hour ago, because, yeah, I, you know, try to be fair with everybody. I want everybody to get to say everything they have to say, you know, treat everybody equally. So some calls are shorter than others and some are longer, right? Because they're not timed. So let's see. And, you know, and it's so funny. It's like a lot of you guys have no issues typing, fuck, like, you guys have such big opinions behind a keyboard. But then when it's time to debate, okay, David added me. When it's time, when I give you guys an opportunity, I'm giving you a platform to voice your beliefs. You don't take it. Accountability. And, Cam, you're a fucking fat piece of shit. Not my fault. You sound like a little bitch. And you said to me I sound like a guy. Maybe you could take some notes and you could sound more like a man. Maybe you could sound less like a fucking pussy. It's a fucking permanent ban. Now, not only do you not sound like a man and probably get mistaken for a fucking trans all the time, because you have a high-pitched fucking bitch voice, but now you have nowhere to talk and chat. David, what are we debating? But yeah, no, I love that I have a deep voice, actually. Honestly. I love the sound of my own voice, which is why I talk all day on YouTube. But yeah, no, like, literally, I love my voice. And a lot of people do. Sub count doesn't lie. Let's see, is there anybody else? But yeah, mods, put my Discord username in chat so that they know how to add me. But yeah, if you're one of the guys that were like, fuck OnlyFans, well, I don't want only, like, you know, it's ruining society or anything like that, why the fuck aren't you debating me? Why don't you add me on Discord and get on a call with me? You know, it's like, this is why I have no sympathy for you guys, and really nobody does. It's like, you guys are like always talking shit from a keyboard, but when you are given an opportunity to voice your opinions, you're given a fucking platform to, you know, share your thoughts, have people fucking listen. You see, so yeah, this is really where I'm at, and this OF topic, even the whole OF debate with it ruining men's mental health, like, this is another great example of men not taking accountability. You want to complain, but then don't want to accept the platform to voice your thoughts, make a change, for, you know, fight for the cause you believe in. It's like no different than that. So yeah, let's see, is there anybody else? And somebody said they wanted to debate me. If you want to debate me, then add me on Discord, Olive Oil Run. You know, and if you guys are so against OF and think that girls should shut down their OF, then why aren't you guys debating? You know, who knows, maybe you might, like, inspire me to delete my page. You never know. So that's really where I'm at. But yeah, no, literally, whenever I do have a caller, like, I'll have like 3 more people wanting to debate, and then you guys just hide. But yeah, there's no need to be afraid. I don't bite, or I'll try not to. Yeah. I don't have OF, it's Fansly. If you guys want to subscribe, it's the first link in the link tree. Pin in chat. But yeah, you guys, I am literally being nice to everybody. I promise if you come on my to debate, I won't mention your mom's basement. I will not mention your BMI. I will not mention your mobility scooter, none of those things, okay? Okay, Influ just added me. You know, it's a debate. It's not an argument, okay? A debate is when two people are talking about something and both expressing what they think. Influ, are you ready to debate? Oh my god. My eyes are like so irritated. Yeah, if you guys don't know, I'm like running a fever. It's not good, man. Okay, Influ's ready. Right. Welcome, incel number 3. Yeah, incel number 3. Okay, so state your case.
So which topic are we discussing right now?
Wait.
Like, about OnlyFans, or?
What did you think the second topic was?
I mean, I'm just saying you were just, when I was joining, if you were talking about someone talking about marriage or relationship.
I mean, sure, but
OnlyFans, right?
yeah, we were talking about OnlyFans. You know, so are you somebody that's against OnlyFans? And you could do marriage later on because we don't have anybody in the queue, but yeah, let's do OnlyFans.
Yeah. So I mean, my opinion is just that it's not a good thing for society. Like, regardless of whether or not it's a job, it's not really a respectable job. That's why that kind of behavior has been like heavily regulated throughout history.
This is just the incel I wanted to hear from. Okay, so you said it's not a respectable job. Why is that?
Because the way I would see it is because people's like intimate body parts, having sex or showing their, you know, like I said, that's something that historically has been controlled, like in a serious way, like and religiously. Different societies always restricted the people, you know, showing their private areas, so to speak.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, but do you...
for a reason.
I'm not going to answer that one, because do you understand that in the past, we were not necessarily better or smarter? For example, like previously, historically, things like grape and a 30-year-old marrying a 9-year-old were legal and considered norm. So just because, you know, it's an old mentality, right? Or just because things were different in the past doesn't necessarily mean that it's good, because we were not as intelligent as we were back then, believe it or not, right? So do you kind of get where I'm saying? So I don't think that that's really like a legitimate basis of, oh, well, because back then things were like this, that's proof it should be like that. It's like, well, man, well, back then, you know, their fucking children were being married off. So that actually, if anything, supports OF. Yeah. Like, you know, so is there another like reason? Because like, you get what I'm saying? Like,
no, I'm saying, you know, society, when people started off with like small tribes, and eventually they...
Yeah, but in those tribes, child marriage and grape was considered good and normal. So does that mean that you think that too? Because you can't cherry pick.
No, I don't. That's not. I mean, I didn't get to.
Okay,
like, the entire point,
go on.
Like, takes longer to get to.
Yeah, go on.
Like a minute.
Voice everything.
Like, I'm not necessarily like the best orator to discuss this topic. I'm sure there's people that are a lot better than me to discuss this, but I'm gonna do my best.
Okay, go for it.
So, like when society was building itself from small tribes to get to larger cities to build civilizations, they obviously, in order to overcome those leaps and bounds to improve their society, they had to create certain rules and build expectations of each person in order to facilitate like the smooth running of society. Now, you're right. In the past, different societies they also had like child marriage and stuff like that, and it's not something I'm gonna defend. Obviously, I don't agree with that. But for example, like one area where that was important throughout many civilizations is like the concept of monogamy. And since monogamy is kind of what most of Western civilization is built upon, that is like the main driving forces to build civilization, in my opinion, is creating a system where strictly enforced monogamy is like the basis for like human men and women relationships. And so I guess one of the reasons why people would have in the past strictly controlled what people can and can't wear and how much of their body they show and whether or not they're filming themselves, making corn. The reason why is because of this strict monogamous system that they're trying to build, that doing those mentioned activities of, wearing scantily clothes or whatever, that's detrimental to that monogamous system, and therefore it makes their civilization not, like they predict that would be something that would destroy their civilization in the long run. So that's why those behaviors were regulated.
Okay, so what you're pretty much saying is you believe that the reason why OF is bad is because it hurts monogamy, because you believe that monogamy is what, caused us to advance as a society, right?
Yeah, more or less.
Man, honestly, you should have just said that, man. But, okay, I hear what you're saying, but, I mean, like, why do you think why do you attribute, like, society advancing to monogamy? Because if you want to know my opinion, I think that the reason why society has advanced or did advance is smart people who worked hard. Because, I mean, can you at least agree that, you could have two monogamous couples and, one couple could be completely fucking toxic, right? That really shouldn't be together, right? And then the other be healthy, right? Can you acknowledge that just because you're monogamous, one doesn't mean that it's going to be a nice relationship or a pleasant one. And, you could have like an unemployed guy or like two monogamous unemployed people. Like, do you think that it's possible that maybe it's not monogamy that caused us to advance? It might be other things, right? Or if you do, then explain why.
But I think monogamy generally it gives each individual man and woman like a goal for why am I? Some people, like, not everyone behaves in this way, but some people would think like, why should I work my ass off if I'm just doing it for me? There's no greater thing that I'm trying to build. I'm not supporting a family. I'm not,
Right.
I don't have any other responsibilities other than myself. So why am I? There's no incentive for me to work as hard as I might otherwise would if there were people depending on me. So what I'm trying to say is, like, people that are smart and are capable of, building society, building civilization, they need to have an environment that's conducive for them to reach their potentials. And I think monogamy, or everyone, they have the potential to achieve, I can have a wife. And as we see, in recent history, the rates of marriage have gone down, the rates of divorce goes up. And so I think what we've been doing in the last, 100 years, 50 years, I don't know exactly how long it's been going on, but that those, the basics that you need, the basic points of building that you need to build, they're being eroded. To build a good society, all those basic things that are needed are being slowly eroded, and that's why there's more societal ills these days, in my opinion.
I definitely agree with you on what you said about men specifically. You're right. When a man has a woman that he's in love with, or even if they're not dating, even if, he has a shot to be with a woman he's in love with, he is more motivated, right? He will, have more drive. So you're right about that. But, where the issue is okay, with that being said, if you're saying that, OF will promote, make it harder for men to be in relationships, kind of hurt monogamy. Okay, because it's basically, it's a distraction and it's a temptation, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
OnlyFans is just like, it's like a symptom of everything. Like, it's
right. Well, yeah, maybe too, but then, do you consider like TikTok, girls posting thirst traps on Instagram, and these girls don't do OF, right? They might
not necessarily.
Okay, so you don't think that those are temptations or distractions?
Sorry, I was like completing what you were saying, but
oh, okay.
Yeah, I agree that those are problematic as well.
Okay, so with that logic, then you should not only like get rid of OF, but you should also get rid of Instagram and TikTok, because you don't want men to be exposed to the demonic Jezebel spirit or whatever, right? But do you see what I'm saying? It's like, in a way, don't you think that with going down this path, it's strange, like we happen to be going backwards, right? Like, I believe that, a man should be able to watch or like, do the things that he enjoys to do, but while being a good partner, don't you think? Because the thing is, Tinder too, like a lot of marriages end not due to OF, but a guy like hitting up some girl on Tinder. Do we also ban the dating apps? Do we need to completely, it's almost like, with when you try to eliminate temptation, you're kind of going a little bit backwards with rolling things back, and you're kind of having to segregate men and women, right? Like, do you kind of get what I'm saying with this?
I know what you're saying, but what I'm saying is, yeah, rolling back is part of it, obviously. Like, I'm saying that society...
Right, but that's kind of going backwards if now we can't use Instagram because there's the Jezebelic... And, like, I'd say that Instagram's not all bad, right? Or TikTok's not all bad, so there's some educational material and, like, it's entertainment. And, like, same thing with OF. Like, you could have somebody that, for example, like, there's some guys that sub to girls' OnlyFans pages and they have a girlfriend. They just ask their girlfriend if it's okay. Like you get what I'm saying? Not everybody's
I don't understand the motivation behind that, personally. Like, I would...
There's no motivation. What do you mean about that?
Like, I mean, I'm just saying, I don't understand, like, what kind of man would be interested in subbing to an OnlyFans if he, like, he's in a relationship, I assume a decent one that beats his expectations. I mean, so I don't know why.
I don't think it's like that. I think he just wants to see the page, Like, I don't think that like you get what I'm saying? Like, it's that deep, because you could be a happy, healthy couple and love each other, have a good relationship, but you just want to see the girls, like do you get what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it's that deep, right? Because you could be a guy that doesn't use OF and doesn't watch porn, but you could be yelling at your girlfriend and she could hate you. Like, I think what makes a relationship healthy isn't whether the guy doesn't touch these things, like, because it just isn't true. What makes a relationship healthy is, that you guys are compatible and the guy is a nice guy who's nice to his girlfriend, right?
And there's certainly a lot of aspects to having a successful relationship. It's not just like, oh, someone doesn't, look at thirst traps on Instagram, or he doesn't watch OnlyFans.
Right.
Therefore, he's going to be a good boyfriend. That doesn't follow, obviously.
100%, right? Because it's just like a pixels on a screen at the end of the day, and it's true, right? Because you could have, and even with older people, right? Because cheating has always been a thing, right? Even before social media and OF, guys still cheated without.
And in many societies in the past, even if maybe cheating wasn't as easy as downloading Tinder or whatever,
right? And
getting a match, but in the past, societies viewed cheating as something destructive. So that's why it was like heavily, like, if you were in an adulterous relationship, it was severely punished, because they recognized that it was something that, if it were to spread around throughout society, it's not going to be beneficial to that civilization or that city, that society.
You think people should be punished for cheating?
I think historically that worked pretty well, yeah. At
No,
least
man.
at the very least.
No. Okay,
Hold on. At the very least, it needs to be viewed like very wrong in society. Like right now, like everyone is, or not everyone, but many people do it, and it just, oh, I cheated. I guess that's normal. He wasn't meeting my boyfriend wasn't meeting my expectations or whatever, or he didn't. So then I had to cheat. I had to get my validation somewhere else. Or for a woman or for a man, my girlfriend or my wife, she wasn't attractive enough anymore. I had to, find another woman. Like, I think people should behave more respectfully to their significant others, and to be beneficial, societally speaking, if there were at least some negative consequences for that, regardless of what they are. There needs to be some sort of negative consequences. Otherwise, people do these bad behaviors without any problems.
I hear what you're saying, but okay, so real quick, back in the old days when they used to punish people for cheating, you cannot do that, because back then what would happen is, so as you know, like back then men were mainly marrying young girls, right? So what happened a lot is when the girl kind of aged, he's like, I want a new 13-year-old, but obviously no one wants to pay like off a woman, right? Duh. So it's easier to just say, oh, she cheated, she's a whore, and have her stoned. There's no one to pay, right? That's actually what was going on. Do you get what I'm saying? The penalizing cheating.
It can be corrupting. It can be corrupting.
No, but I'm telling you that was really all it was used for, honestly. So that's not good. I don't believe that. And you mentioned consequences. You said that there's no consequences for cheating. There are, okay? If you are a woman and you cheat on your boyfriend, you're gonna cause him to go crazy, and he's gonna be the relationship will be unpleasant, right? Obviously, you'd agree. Like,
oh yeah, that.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna ruin your relationship.
There might be societal consequences beyond that relationship in itself.
Well, let me go on. Okay, so if you are a man that cheats, once you are caught, the girl's gonna leave, right? So there is a consequence. Just because you're ignorant to it doesn't mean that there's not a consequence. Your girl's gonna leave you, okay? And then if you're a girl that cheats on a guy, if he finds out, you're ruined the fucking relationship, right? And then, he might be psycho. He might fucking act out in front of you and fucking traumatize you, right? So that isn't true. I think the consequences to cheating is kind of like inherent. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Do you not think these are already consequences? Like, a man that cheats, you're gonna fuck up your family. If you cheat, you're gonna ruin the relationship.
I mean, that's beyond like the relationship ending in itself.
But you gotta remember that relationships are optional, right? So you can't, like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, for example, with taxes, you're required to pay taxes. So if you don't pay your taxes, that's tax evasion. That's why you get charged. A relationship's optional. So if I just feel like cheating or lying, kind of like bad character incidents, the punishment's kind of inherent, but you can't like put legal consequences on that, because what's going to happen is what was initially the case, is men are mainly, or even in today's society it could be vice versa, men or women are going to weaponize this and just fucking frame everyone. Because how do you prove cheating? There's no way to prove it, right? You will never.
There's obviously ways to prove it, and not necessarily you'll find the evidence in every case, but you can find evidence of cheating. I'm sure people do it all the time. I'm not saying that
it's too subjective,
be evidential reasons for. If you were to enforce, someone cheated, there needs to be some sort of punishment. Or it's not just the basis of you were accused of cheating, now you're punished.
No, I hear you, but that is okay. Like, can you give me an example of what this evidence would be?
I mean, there could be nowadays it's a little bit harder because of like the advent of AI. You can generate, audios, videos, images, and it's like now. But I'm thinking historically, or at least even 5 to 10 years ago, would be a lot more clear as what could be the evidence. So now the cat's kind of out of the bag with AI. It's kind of made it more difficult, but I'm sure it's still possible to.
With AI aside, like for example, like say you're, and do you think cheating should be illegal with marriage or relationships?
I think 100% with marriage, like without a doubt, and there should at least be some sort of societal consequences for even relationships. At least it should be like you're viewed in a very bad way if you engage in this behavior.
I think that is the case already, but okay, so for example, okay, some guy found on his wife's phone her texting her coworker, and he found out that they were planning to go to In-N-Out for lunch. Like, a lot of guys might look at that and be like, that's cheating, but that's not cheating. You know, it's like going to lunch with a coworker. I don't think that's cheating, right?
It didn't reach that point yet, but there could be. It could relate to that, but not necessarily.
Yeah, so this is the problem with this. It's like, I do feel like a lot of men have a really weird view on cheating, and you know, and I feel like
I
a lot
agree
of
with
men,
you that it wasn't cheating, but
oh, okay, yeah, but just because a girl hung out with her coworker doesn't mean that it will ever lead to anything, or that it's a stepping stone to anything. Like, she might go to lunch with him 10 more times, or that might be the last time she goes to lunch with him, right? Like, it's not deep, right? Like, you've hung out with people, right, before, and it's been like a one-time thing, or you hung out for a while and then, no, they're not cool anymore, right? It's just life, right? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, with that, I just don't think it's as deep.
Like, we can't get into the mind. I'm not sure what's in the mind of the woman who's going to the lunch with her coworker. Like, is her intention to, oh, this is how I'm going to get to know him and then future, or is it just like, oh, we have a common job, we like to have better teamwork at the job, work together better.
But so you'll never know.
Like, exactly, you don't. Yeah, in that aspect, you don't. That's what I'm saying. Getting lunch in itself didn't cross that line of, okay, now she's cheating, but it could potentially be like the first step. I don't know.
Okay, so say that, like, her coworker's wife died, right? And, like, he has kids, and, you know, she has a lot of sympathy for him, you know, because she had a parent that passed. So she's taking this seriously, and she wants to go over to his place to help, you know, help him with, I don't know, maybe she wants to, you know, help cook for the kids, make him feel better, and kind of comfort the children, because she lost a parent before. Like, something like that. But she goes over to the guy's house, but it's not to get with him. It's for a outlined reason of, hey, he just lost his wife, and, like, he has kids. This is a personal thing to me, right? Would that be cheating? Or, you know, it's like, you kind of get what I'm saying? It's like, what could classify cheating? Like, I feel like the only way you really know that you've been cheated on is if you are told, I cheated on you. And even then, you don't even know if they're telling you the truth, right? So that's where it's kind of, like, confusing, right?
There's more evidence that someone could, like, imagine, like, say you're married, you're in a marriage, and your wife gets pregnant, she has a child, and then all of a sudden you're kind of suspicious, this child doesn't look like me at all. Then you get a paternity test done, and then, oh, this child actually isn't related to me. So then obviously she cheated. Like, that's one aspect.
Oh, yeah, obviously.
Easily prove.
Yeah, but I'm sure that's rare, though, honestly.
I'm not sure about that one. I think that's exceedingly, like, it's common, I think. I think it's been common historically. Like, at least there's some millions of people around the world who are unknowingly not their father's son or daughter.
That's crazy, man. Okay, I had no clue about that. But, okay, but do you think OnlyFans correlates with that? Because I don't really, you know.
That's what I think, like, OnlyFans, like I said, it's just one small aspect. It's like the culmination of the wrong we've been doing in society. Like, we've permitted so many things, and then OnlyFans is like the culmination of all that. Now we have, you know, it's not exactly, I agree. I've listened to some of your argument previously about whether or not OnlyFans is prostitution, and I don't think it's exactly the same thing, but I think they're related.
Right.
So I'm saying there's so many things that we've permitted, and then OnlyFans, now we have, like, let's say, people selling sex online, and they're able to make millions of dollars from this. Like, it's kind of unprecedented, societally speaking.
There are athletes, like the NFL, they get paid fucking way more than OnlyFans girls, and they're basically doing PE, right? You're playing a sport. So
I actually
could you just say that they're lucky?
No. So what I'm saying is, I think the entertainment industry in general is,
and
way
actors,
big,
man. Yeah.
It's way too big. Like people shouldn't be paid this amount, in my opinion. But I think at the very least, like acting.
Do you know why they get paid that amount? There's a reason they get paid that amount.
Advertisements and stuff. Yeah.
No.
Like
it has a lot more to do with the supply and demand, right? So does that kind of make sense? Like, obviously,
it's related to supply and demand, yeah.
Yeah, so like you might need like let's say, I'm gonna make up numbers. Let's say that the world may need like 10 mil waitresses, and then may need 5 coders or 5 million coders. But then, actors though, we only need like maybe like 1,000. So you kind of see where, or with the athletes, right? So if you think about the number of, whether it's the athletes, actors, or OF girls that are actually making money, it actually pretty accurately reflects the supply and demand. So, but that's why it's the way it is. Like a CEO. Why do CEOs make so much money? It's because there's not a lot of them. It's does that make sense? So it's not really, it's more of a supply demand thing, right?
Sure, but would you agree with me that not every single job is necessarily something that should be like allowed? Like there could be a job where they like are very much against your like moral standards. They could think about it 100 years ago. No one would ever think an OnlyFans would have no concept of what the hell that is. How can you make money from this? I don't understand. It'd be difficult to explain to them 100 years ago. But I'm saying someone could conceive of a job that is greatly against what kind of your moral precepts, and like you think that shouldn't be a job that's allowed. Would you agree that you could think of like that?
Right, there's nothing wrong with thinking that, but if you're proposing that society should abolish jobs that are widely agreed to be immoral, that's where it's harmful. Because what is your job?
I'm an engineer.
Oh, well, what kind?
Electrical.
Oh, okay, perfect. So this is the issue, right? So if society actually did start, like abolishing jobs that are widely agreed to be not moral, okay, first it's OnlyFans, and then eventually it's going to get to a point where it's like, what you're doing is wrong. You're burning coal. It's bad for it's literally killing the earth. This is the data. It's causing health issues. Like, do you get it turns into whack-a-mole when you do things like that. And you could kind of see it like in like the example of like the libs, right? How first like many liberal causes, right? They start off with like a kind of like valid point, but then it turns into, okay, this is ridiculous, right? Now you guys just want to ban everything. Now you guys are getting offended at fucking everything. Like, do you get what I mean? So I don't think that is true. I mean, can it just be that, people could have whatever opinions they want on things, but, can we both agree that it would be outrageous to actually, want the government to abolish jobs that, that basically allow the population to have that kind of impact on what jobs exist, because then it's whack-a-mole. If McDonald's gets exposed for something bad, right? I'm sure you've seen like the theories on McDonald's, or they're using this in their meat. Then next it's like, I think that this shouldn't be around. This is a not moral job, and the people should work at Burger King, right? But there might not be.
Because there's demand for something, we should allow anything. Like, I think some people are just
it's okay. So it's not that it's because there's demand for it. It's that if you actually do follow through on, like banning jobs, just because the population widely agrees that it should be banned, it turns into whack-a-mole. First, it's OnlyFans girls, but at some point, it will get your job, because with electrical engineering, I mean, how electricity is produced, correct? You do know that there are environmental implications of your job. It turns into whack-a-mole. First, it's OF in the brain. Next, it's this. Next, this is a not ethical company. They're using what's the word? Trafficking for their labor, and the people making these clothes are literally dying. clothing companies
I mean,
should be
those
banned.
things
Like,
are
so
illegal.
do you,
You're
yeah.
trafficking. Human trafficking
No,
is
no, no, no,
illegal.
no, 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 no,
We should
no. Wait,
legalize
wait,
it.
wait,
That's
wait.
a job. Human
Wait,
trafficking.
let me finish. You're not understanding. Your clothes, the majority of our clothes is made in China. Do you understand that, right?
I mean, I'm not sure what the percentage is, but yes, much clothes is made in like sweatshops,
Yeah,
slave labor,
sweatshops in
adjacent
China.
conditions.
Yes, a lot of those people, you could look more into this after, a lot of those people that have made our clothes, and I don't know the exact number, but I'm pretty sure it's to the tune of like 90%, right? Are people that have been trafficked, or people that cannot leave and are working in bad conditions. So do we next abolish the clothing companies because they're, contributing to a bad thing? Do you understand the point I'm going?
I'm totally okay with regulating those industries further if they're if you want to have some sort of
right, yeah,
rule that
with
they can't
clothes,
exploit
yes.
slave labor. I'm totally fine
Right.
with having rules like
With
that.
clothes, you could do that, but things like your field, you can't, right? You cannot make electricity without burning coal, correct? Like, I'm not an engineer,
I mean,
but I
there's
have
various
basic
ways.
knowledge.
There's more than one way to generate electricity. Coal is one of them.
Right, but what are the other ways?
I mean, there's renewable energy, there's nuclear energy, there's lots of different ways.
Those things have a negative effect on the environment.
I think
There we
there's
go.
totally
There we
difference
go.
between being an electrical engineer or any sort of engineer, and we live in a society where there's already rules on plenty of jobs and industries. I'm just having
Okay, but
let's
look,
have
I don't
more,
think there's anything wrong with what you're doing, obviously, but you do need to acknowledge, like, you do low-key know that it's not good for the environment, right? But you gotta do your job, right? But we need engineers, right? So, okay,
yes, we need engineers
right,
for the functioning of society.
right. So, but what I'm telling you is, if it ever
We don't
happened,
need OnlyFans people for the functioning of society.
but I think you're missing the point. Is the day that OnlyFans gets banned because people think it's not moral is the day that you should begin to worry about your job, because it's like, okay, what's next after this? There are so many immoral things, right? You don't think, okay, you are passionate about monogamy. You don't think there's people that are passionate about the earth and human rights? So everybody with a moral passion is going to come out and begin to band together with, now we need to ban this next. Like, are you getting kind of my point? So that's why
there's nothing inherently destructive about electrical generation. It can be renewable. It can not pollute the environment. There's ways to do it. And if the government were to slowly want to move towards that, like less coal and more renewable energy, that makes sense. People are already doing that.
Wait, wouldn't the infrastructure fail? Like, or maybe you tell me more.
Yes, yeah, immediately it would. If you try to get rid of all coal immediately, it would fail. But if you could slowly move in that direction, it obviously would take decades. But I'm saying that's not necessarily wrong.
All right, but I think you get my point. Like, I just don't think it's good to. Do you get what I'm saying? And this is just things I'm thinking off the top of my head. Like, here's what I think, okay? Because you have a valid point. Maybe for some men, not everybody has a relationship like the one that I actually had a friend, and her boyfriend wanted to they talk about it. You get what I'm saying? Not everybody has the same kind of relationship, right? So maybe. Can it be that the answer is men learning self-control and men learning how to treat their partner better? Open communication and things like communication? Is it possible that we can live in a society where men are able to? Because it's not just OF, but do you agree that some movies show very pornographic content?
Of course.
Right. So do we need to regulate them too? No. It's like, I feel like the producer should be able to have that creativity and put whatever they want. They shouldn't have to dance around those things, right? I think that maybe men should be able to sub to whatever page they want or consume whatever content they want to do in their free time, while at the same time maintaining a healthy relationship and having that open communication. What do you think about that?
So you would have no problem, you'd have no problem with your boyfriend or your husband subscribing to someone else's or any woman's OnlyFans that's obviously not yours, or I don't know if you have one or not, but
yeah, I actually do. First link in the link tree, but The only things I care about is, one, he's fulfilling my like expectations. He has not disappointed me or is not disappointing me. And then two, he's not breaching my boundaries. For example, if he's asking me for permission to do it, I would tell him, hey, keep me out of that, man. Do that on your own time. So he knows that I don't even want him to ask me about it because I just don't think it's appropriate, right? Does that make sense? So after I told him this, he's telling me, oh, look at this page, or hey, or he's asking me, oh, can I sub to 2 more pages? I'm gonna be like, man, I told you not to do this, right? And it's not only OF, like in general. If I'm vaping and he told me not to vape and I told him, hey, I don't want to hear about it, and he did it again, I'd have the same reaction. Like, I told you not to do something, I said something to you and you didn't listen to me, right? So that's where I'm upset. I'm not upset over, you looking at a fucking page on your phone. What I'm upset about is I asked you to do something and you didn't do it. Does that make sense? So I guess, I hope that answers your question. I don't think whether he subscribes to OF or not is relevant to the relationship.
Okay, totally fine. In your relationships?
Huh?
And for your relationships, it's not a big deal if someone were to subscribe to OnlyFans. That's not, as long as you don't hear about it.
Do you get, because I just don't think it's appropriate. Why are you telling me? Like, I could understand asking for permission, right? But I just tell them, keep that to yourself, right? But I don't see the problem with it. I really don't. What is the problem?
I mean, different people have different boundaries for their relationships, of course.
But how's that, like, what somebody does on their own time? How, like, what's the point of being,
what if I said on my own time, I'm a serial killer? I mean, obviously there's different people who have different...
Well, that's a problem.
Problems,
well, if I was dating somebody who on their own time, they're a serial killer, I'd break up with them because there's no point in wasting time in a relationship with one that's doomed to the end because he's going to end up in jail, right? Do you get what I'm saying? Or a drug addict.
I mean, is that the reason? Like,
yeah, because this is not practical.
End up in jail, or is it because, wow, he's killing people? That's bad.
Oh, well, I'm just being honest. I mean, like, if somebody I was dating was doing something illegal or a drug addict, anything of that sort, the reason I'd leave them is because this is not sustainable. At some point, you're going to end up in jail, or, you kind of get what I'm saying. You're on drugs, your health is going to fail. So therefore, this is not practical and I'm wasting time. That's how I think about it. So that's why I break up with them. So I think that men kind of make OF more than what it needs to be. I think that if they had open communication with their partners, and if they were kind to the women they were dating, and, had a quality relationship, I think a lot of women would kind of be where I'm at with the OF, not be so much like, what? Why are you subbing to the page? Or do you get what because, like, I've met girls who will, like, get insecure over their boyfriends getting a DM or DMing somebody. And this could be something completely platonic, right? Or, like, not even like that. Do you get what I'm saying? Or check the phones. And, like, I don't think that this kind of mentality is healthy. So just like how I don't think that the idea that OF is going to ruin a relationship is healthy, I don't think it's healthy to be stalking the person you're in a relationship with like checking their phones and doing weird stuff like that. Can you agree with that? Like, it's going down the same possessive behavior, and when you make somebody feel like they're a hostage, they no longer feel like they're dating somebody, they feel like they're trapped, that you're like the prison guard, right? And no one wants to be in a relationship like that. Can you agree with that at least?
Obviously, like, healthy relationships, there's there should be trust between the two partners. Like, they shouldn't have to worry every second, oh, he's gonna cheat on me if I'm not.
It's not even trust. It's
him,
like respect. I feel like basic boundaries and respect, because it's okay to be unsure about something, right? But it's about having boundaries. Like, hey, I might not know 100%, and I may not, like the example you mentioned about the hanging out with a friend. You're right, there's no way to know. You might never know, but she's her own person, right? I'm only dating her. She's not like a prisoner. Does that make sense? That this is where it's boundaries.
I mean, it's fine. Okay, but people have different boundaries for their relationship, and for some people, it's not okay for you to do this, this, and this, and maybe they have unreasonable boundaries. But despite that, then that relationship might end, right? Okay, my boundaries aren't capable of accepting someone else's behavior, so this relationship has to end. I need to find someone else who can fit my boundaries. And people have different boundaries for these kind of relationships, so I don't see exactly.
Right. Like, I just feel like, okay, so it's one thing when somebody has, like, requests, like, like, I want you to do this. I don't want you to talk to me like this and this and that, right? Versus, hey, on your own personal time, this and that. It's like when you're trying to set rules and regulations on somebody's personal time, for example, like a guy that's bitching about his girlfriend going out, that's where it's inappropriate, right? It's one thing when you tell her, hey, I don't like when you raise your voice, right? Because that's your relationship. So I think a lot of men don't understand the difference between where it's your relationship and where, you're treating the girl like she's a prisoner, right? Like, do you get what I'm saying with that? So maybe it's not that OF is the issue, it's that maybe men need to learn how to communicate and learn boundaries. And do you get what I'm saying? Because I feel like healthy couples don't have these issues, and I've never had any kind of like infidelity issue. I didn't even know cheating was a thing, and you just taught me about this paternity thing. I didn't think this happened.
Surely you've heard of that. Like, I mean, like, it's not like unheard of that someone has a different father than what they thought. Like, you've definitely heard of this before. Like,
on my life, no. So,
okay.
Do you know somebody that had that happen?
Personally, no.
Okay. Well, how did you learn about that?
There's like statistical studies about this topic.
So you looked into it. Okay. Okay. Yeah, no, I wasn't aware that this was a concern. I had somebody ask me earlier on a live, is it okay to ask for a paternity test? And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, it's just a test, right?
Yeah, I think I forget what it was, but maybe 20 to 30% of, it was like a poll. It said 20 to 30% of women, if their significant other or husband were to ask them to get a paternity test, they would consider that grounds for like divorce or breaking up. So
yeah, I don't agree with that.
I don't know what that means, but
yeah. Yeah, I can't really speak to that because I have a different opinion. I would never want a guy, if I could, it's like you don't want to, I'm charging my vape. You don't want to be in a relationship with a guy that's having panic attacks and mental issues. So if all of that could be solved with a test, why not do it, right? Like, I wouldn't want to deal with the guy's like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, freaking out or whatever is going on. So I don't see any reason why women would object to the paternity test, right? It's not healthy to be in a relationship where, like, there's doubts. So you end it or eliminate the doubts, right? But that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Hey, so by the way, it was nice talking with you. I actually have to leave now.
Oh yeah, but, you're fine.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course. All right. See you. Okay, so who is next? If you guys don't know, we are debating OnlyFans. I think I definitely won the debate. What is this? 3 wins in a row, you guys. Undefeated. Okay, let's see. Okay, Scar, let me know when you're ready. Make sure you add me on Discord if you have an issue with OF. Want to debate? Add me on Discord. But yeah, I won this debate for sure. You guys comment. I literally won the debate, man. Like, the guy never was able to kind of refute my point. He kind of, like, quit the debate in the middle, and then it was, like, other things. He was just asking me questions after that. So, I won the debate. Chisel, what do you want to debate? But yeah, I'm letting my vape charge right now. But yeah, no, OF is a great thing. Like, men just need to learn. Like, listen, I feel like if any man is, like, being mean to his girlfriend over OnlyFans, like, man, that's a you problem. Like, that's his fault. Like, he's just not a good guy, right? If a man's cheating on a woman or he's more open to cheating because of OnlyFans, like, then, you know, that has nothing to do with OnlyFans. He's a cheater, right? You know, you guys kind of get what I'm saying. It's like, if you have to hold your partner hostage, that's not a relationship. If you have to, oh, he can't look at woman, oh, I must fucking protect his eyes, like, man, what's the point? What the fuck is the point of being in a relationship where you gotta live like that? That's no way to live, and that's not a man of quality. Do you guys get what I'm saying with that? So it's really ridiculous to me when guys say, oh, you know, it's gonna ruin relationships. It's like, man, honestly, like, you shouldn't be dating if that's what you're thinking, man. You know, what do you guys think? Like, you should be able to watch whatever, have your free time, and be a good boyfriend. Period, man. It's like, you know, it's a relationship, not a hostage, you know? You shouldn't need a fucking 24-hour babysitter and the government to babysit you by banning content. You know, it's like what these guys are essentially doing when they say that OF should be banned for the reason of monogamy. You're basically saying that you're so, you know, weird. You need the government to babysit you. And that you can't be trusted by a woman, honestly. So, yeah, that shit's crazy. I'm glad there are guys that agree with me, because, like, man, a lot of these guys are, like, telling on themselves. All promiscuous men, of course. You know, I feel like if you're a non-promiscuous man, you could watch stuff, have freedom, and you're good. You're not going to lose your mind and burn your relationship. That's just what crackheads do. But yeah, Air just added me. Air, let me know if you're ready to debate. But yeah, you guys have got to understand that you know, when you treat people like this, they will not want to be with you. People want to feel like they're in a relationship, not like, oh, did I just sign up to have a parent, you know? Setting rules on people you're dating is outrageous. I've never fucking heard of that in my life. Setting rules on your partner. Like what, setting curfew and bedtime? It's just crazy. No one wants that, man. A lot of you guys need to go to therapy, honestly. You know, date people you're compatible with and respect them as people. Period. But okay. Air wants to debate. Yeah, my ex-boyfriend bought me a Porsche. You get fucked. What's up?
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hi. So, what do you want to debate? Or, I guess, state your case.
I mean, it's your stream, so you can just give me a topic. I can debate on anything. I just want to break your streak. That's all.
Huh?
I'm just here to break your streak.
Oh, that's kind of impossible. Can I come back to you after? Because there's a guy that really wanted to debate, and he has, like, a topic.
Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
All right.
Sure.
Let me do Scar. Okay, he's ready to go. Because Scar was first. What's up, Scar?
I feel kind of guilty for knocking the other guy's side.
All right.
Hello?
Hi. Okay, so... Wait, what number is this? Is this number 4 or 5? I lost count.
Incel 39. I don't think it truly matters.
I think you're incel number 4. Okay, welcome. So, okay, state your case.
All right. So, I know we agree on a lot of things, so I found this actually quite hard to narrow down. But
okay.
My debate topic is...
Smart man.
Sex needs to be more intimate again. This is probably where we'll actually differ. Because I agree, you should be allowed to do a lot of things, you know, of your own free will. If you try to
Right.
hold someone back, they're just going to run away.
Exactly. Yeah.
If we're just going to agree, that's not really a debate.
Yeah.
So I have to come with, we need to make sex a little bit more intimate again. And I'm going to come back with, we should bring it just back to marriage, which I already know people are rolling their eyes. I understand. But my caveat, or I shouldn't say caveat, my reasoning for this is you can look at porn. We've normalized sex to such an insane degree. Oh, sorry. Porn. We've normalized it to such an insane degree that people are pretty much addicted to it. That's the whole reason we have porn addicts now.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And for OF, for me, I would agree it should be gotten rid of, but I know it's just another avenue to a problem we're going to have just further down the line.
Exactly. Okay, so you understood what I was trying to tell the guy, right? Huh? Okay, so you understood what I was trying to tell him, because like sometimes these guys make me think like, am I not speaking like simple enough, or like am I, confusing?
I was understanding their points. I'm like, you're getting stopped at the first sight of the problem. You're seeing like the symptoms, not the disease. And while porn and the people in it, I don't want to call disease, it's the motivation behind it. It's that sexual nature, all that lust from both either men or women that really allows that industry to even exist. So that's why I'm like, we kind of need to take it back. We need to make it more intimate again, because if we do, at least a vast majority will be able to feel some normalcy again.
Right. I think
we
that...
agree? I hope we don't agree.
Well, I don't agree with banning any, job, right? Because I just think that it's going to turn into whack-a-mole, because, every single job has some element of something not being moral, whether it's the environment or it's human rights, it's everywhere. Like, you get what I'm saying? Or bad health, so...
Perfect example. Why don't we just use the 1920s where we banned alcohol and then we made millionaire, let's see, Al Capone. He became like a millionaire.
Exactly. That's a good one. So, so I think the answer is really I feel like the problem with men is the majority of men are unable to take accountability. And a good example of this is I'm really mind boggled with how men think. It's when I hear these guys talk about, I had the last guy was like, oh, well, if I set rules, it's like, man, this sounds like a nagging mom to me, dude. What woman would want to be with this guy, right? Or a guy that's can't do this, you can't. It's just outrageous, and it's
I get it. I get it. It's... But continue, please continue.
And I want to make it clear, I don't think anybody should be treated like that, You get what I'm saying? I mean, I feel like, it's one thing to have your expectations in a relationship, but when you're trying to dictate people's time, their personal time, you get what I'm saying? Someone going out or their hobbies, that's fucking insane, man. If this is what guys are doing, no wonder women are not wanting relationships if most guys are acting like that. You get what I mean with that?
This is why I had to be specific with my topic, because we have some agreeing moments, but we also have it from different perspectives.
Okay.
The last fellow who was on, right? I see what he was trying to say, what he wants to communicate, right? I understand from a guy perspective, hey, don't go meeting up with that guy because the way he interacts with you is very flirtatious, or vice versa. The way you interact with him is very flirtatious, and now my trust is beginning to waver a little bit. So it's insecurity that comes up from that. But if you're open about these things, you can discuss that with your partner. And if your partner either rejects that insecurity and says, that's a you problem, get that fixed, you're better off just not being with them.
Right.
Because if your partner can't respect you, then we're just going to have issues down the line.
I wouldn't necessarily say that it's that they don't respect you. It's more of they, and I had something similar happen. I don't know if you heard me talk to the first guy. Did you hear about the vape sitch?
I did hear about the vape.
Right.
Sitch.
So I felt
I'll let you know
like
my perspective real quick. It's super simple. I have a friend who I met like maybe a month ago, and near and dear to my heart. They're an alcoholic. They're smoking. They're doing a bunch of stuff that's not physically healthy. I rag on them for doing it, but like in my heart, I wish they didn't do it because I want you to be healthy.
he
Now,
said the
there are
same
people
thing.
who, right, right. But then you have people who just come down and be like, "Hey, stop that! Like, they don't even like you're dating me. Don't do that. Like, don't."
Right.
They don't
Because
come at
like,
it with an angle of like kindness or heart or love. So you just come like a nagging parent. In which case,
You're right.
get out.
exactly, because the thing is, when people get into like the way I felt like is like, man, I signed up for a relationship, and well, what the fuck is he doing, right? After I already told him, because like I had a full conversation about like, hey, I get it, but I'm just not willing to quit. I'm just trying to be in this relationship right now. Like you kind of get what I'm saying. It's literally just like a nagging parent, and
Absolutely.
so that's where, and so I broke up with him because I understood, man, I can't live a life having my life wasted on hearing about a vape. I just didn't think it was worth it, because I just knew
get it.
how
And
it would go.
I think you hit the nail on the head where you said men aren't really great at communicating. We're very aggressive. We're very direct. So when we say we don't like a thing, we're just going to say it the most blunt way possible. But some topics aren't like firm. They're very fragile. And if you just come in swinging, well, now you've lost all ground. No one's going to listen to you because you're talking way too aggressive. And I don't care what you have to say.
And I do want to say, sometimes you could have the best communication and best approach, but if a woman feels like you're kind of breaching, like, you're becoming a parent, or like, for example, if a girl likes to go out, right, and obviously, she's obviously not cheating. She likes to go out with the girls, right? And no matter how you put it to her, like, she's gonna feel like you're kind of like not respecting her, actually. So if a woman is rejecting what you're saying, it's not that she doesn't respect you. It's the opposite. It's like she feels like there's a lack of respect for her freedom, right? Because like at least with me, like, I had really no tolerance for the vaping thing because I don't do that with him, right? I let him do his thing, right? So I'm never like, oh, you shouldn't drink like that. This is what he's doing. I'm not involved in that, right? So and I do feel like there's an element of compatibility, right? Because there are some women whom kind of act like the guys, right? I've had a couple friends like this, and I don't get why they do it.
I would argue you're kind of like the guys, but please continue.
Wait, what?
I would argue you're kind of like the guys, but please continue.
Well, like, acts like a guy in the sense of, let me see your phone, and I just think that's crazy. But, they're like, yeah, like, they act like a guy almost, like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. So I think, maybe it's a compatibility thing. Maybe, the men that, think the government needs to babysit them, or the men that are like, I think if they dated the woman who were similar like them, wanted to check their phone and all of this, like, there'd be no problem, because obviously a woman who has the mentality that I do is not going to understand or relate a man that believes the government needs to babysit them, or and obviously, like, a guy, like the men that I've dated, for the most part, kind of same page, except for the vaping thing, but those guys are not going to understand a woman that feels like he needs to babysit her when they're dating, right? So
this is why I was like, so I had to narrow down for the agreement. I agree with you. The second somebody tells me to do something, it's an immediate spite reaction you're going to get. I'm telling you no. I'm going to do the exact opposite, and I'm going to keep doing me while laughing in your face. But that's not a healthy response if you're in a relationship.
Right. But that's why compatibility is important. So, like, I make sure I date people I'm compatible with, so I don't deal with the guys like the last guy, man. He was crazy. the rules
Right, so
set.
I got to give you my example of how to approach the vape topic.
Okay.
Because I know you've already said you're a bit sensitive on it. My thing would be like, hey, would you be able to stop vaping? I'm actually concerned about your health. I've seen images of people having popcorn lungs from continuous vape usage, and I don't want that to happen to you. Do you think you would be able to stop?
He
Would
actually
you need my help to stop?
that was actually exactly kind of his approach, and what I said was like, hey, you know, I'm just not interested in quitting. I just when I dated you, I didn't think that I'd be signing into vape rehab. So that was very much my perspective, So, like I feel like that's something, what I consume, that's me. I don't, nag him on what he consumes. So I just felt like that's in general, like that's crossing a boundary. Like you could say
Right.
something once, but when it's more than once, man, like that's when it's not good, right?
Right. I also don't want you to feel too exposed. So, like, my addiction is pornography, right? I'm a guy. It's almost inherent. But I've also been around long enough for the internet to explode from the box to pretty much our breaks. 28, by the way. I know it made it sound like I'm 30-something. But you've seen the explosion of it. You've seen, if you've been around long enough, it's gone from magazines under a box to just somebody's handheld device. So it's very easy to get addicted to this stuff. But when it comes to my partner, I would actually be a little bit, I know I would react harshly just because it's an addiction and it's very hard to let go of. But I would be also very happy they want it for me, because it's not like they want it's like, oh, you shouldn't be looking at other women. It's like, no, like this could be the better you. You could be doing so much better or more healthier if this wasn't in your life. This is my angle. I'm not saying this for vape. Honestly, I think vape is just more like you could be physically healthier without it. But other than that, you could say that about a lot of other things too, like alcohol.
Right. I mean, I see what you're saying, but I don't think that that's, I feel like that could be harmful for the relationship. Because, for example, say that you're like, all right, thanks for caring about my health. You've actually motivated me to try to go on this journey of quitting. That actually, you're going to kind of set up the relationship for failure for no reason, because what could potentially happen is, then your partner could kind of get into the habit of stalking you, like, oh, let me see your phone history. That this is what happens over time. And maybe at first your partner didn't care that much, they were just worried about you, but then they will eventually develop like an emotional attachment to making sure you're not watching or care more. Does that make sense? Like a deeper investment into this, and then it's to the point where they're breaking your phone and shouting in your face, and this is something they initially didn't even care about. This was for you, and now they're being hurt by your actions because you got them emotionally invested into it. That's where
Because they care. So
it's the same thing with weight loss.
Try to get off of like other drugs.
I've never seen withdrawals, but I've seen this kind of similar thing of when you're trying to kind of do the self-betterment or like betterment of your partner. It's not healthy, just like with weight loss, right? You may be coming from a you have good intentions, but then it when you allow this dynamic to begin, then it turns into, oh, you can't eat that, you can't eat this, and it's to the point where like, man, like now you're bullying your girlfriend. It's like you went from trying to help her for her health, but now you just fucked up your relationship because you got more emotionally attached to her health than you are to her. Does that make sense? So that's where I just don't really think that these kind of things are appropriate to really get into in relationships. I think you could suggest help, or like, for example, like I feel like in a case where a girl wants to help her boyfriend to get off of porn, she should encourage him to see a specialist, right? So that the relationship's not ruined, right? Or with the weight loss, he should just simply refer it over to a dietitian. That's how you keep it healthy and not toxic.
I absolutely see where you're coming from. Right. This is why I wanted to lean into that, like methamphetamine addict, meth addicts, right? If you've seen how they go through withdrawals, how they begin lashing out, it doesn't just hurt them, it hurts the people that care about them, but the whole process is not pretty. I absolutely see, like, from the first perspective, that it's awful. Why would you want to go through that? But the end part of it, the outside, where you see people like, I've been clean for years and I have to claw tooth and nail to resist it sometimes because I know what happens when I go back. It will be the end of my life. Like, it's a serious matter. I think with porn, a lot of people are at that stage, myself included. There are like times where I try to get off of it and I'm on IG, right? And you see plenty of IG models with amazing figures, and that addict portion of my brain just goes off. I'm no longer in control. In comes the addict. But I would want to get clean. This is a huge point. I want to get clean. If I want to lose the weight, it will be far more impactful if I decide to do it, because then I can't shift blame onto you. I can't say, it's your idea for forcing me to do this. It's your idea for forcing me to lose weight, get clean, eat better, live right? When in reality, you just wanted a better partner. You wanted your partner to be happy, healthy, and live a long life with them. But there are ugly things, and then there are just simple things. If you don't want to go through the ugly things, you can't really enjoy a relationship sometimes, because it's not always the ups, right? There's gonna be downs. It's just how you go about it.
Yeah.
If you become a dictating mother, you become a demanding father, no one's gonna want to stay. Like,
Exactly.
now it's just abusive. It's not love anymore.
I think relationships, I mean, aren't really, they don't always have to be up and down. I mean, they could always be up, but you have to kind of know how to kind of, I feel like, just little things, like obviously a guy that's making demands like this is obviously going to have a bunch of fighting, right? But I think it's very easy to have a good relationship. It's just about being kind of smart enough to, like, you get what I'm saying? Like, know what you're doing and kind of not mess up the relationship, right?
A great relationship is formed by how well you handle the bad times. Because it could always be good, right? As long as we keep each other happy. But sometimes you get sick, your job lets you go. And this could apply to either party, and you're frustrated and you just can't get back on the bandwagon, the high horse. That's a bad time, and that's going to affect the relationship.
Right.
How it affects it is how you approach it with your partner. If you're quick to shift blame onto them, if you're quick to look for an out so you can feel better, the relationship will fall like a house of cards.
Right. Yeah. That's one thing, but I feel like, when you're like fighting with a partner, when it's bickering, that's something that's not necessary. Like, do you get what I mean? Because usually when relationships fail, it's not due to things like losing a job or, some tragic thing happened, right? That's out of either one's control. It's usually like fighting for no reason. I feel like you get kind of what I mean, like that. I don't like what you're wearing or stupid stuff, and that's where I really get shocked by guys, because it's like, it's like men go on about how they want women, they want a relationship, they really. What's the word? It's like, it's almost like their lives revolve around women. But then once you finally get this, right? This is what you're doing. Like, you're fucking like acting like that. Like, it's almost like self-sabotage. And I almost wonder if these men kind of have like a self-prophecy of like the incels I'm talking. You get what I'm saying? It's like, how can you nag about wanting a woman, but then when you get one, this is the behavior you think is acceptable. You conduct yourself in this weird way, right?
We've talked about, like, we've already discussed, when you start making demands, don't expect the relationship to last. This is why you have to let your position be known. This is, hey, when you dress like that, I see how other men are eyeing you up. And sometimes it's not how they look at you, because I know other men, it's how you look at them.
Right.
And that I don't feel comfortable with. If she refuses that, I think there's grounds to just say, maybe this isn't best for us.
Right, but you gotta have perspective. Because, for example, Like, say that you had a girlfriend, she's dressing promiscuously, and you say that to her, and she's like, well, actually, I'm glad you brought that up, John, because I've been really getting pissed about the fact that you're not beating their ass. You see them eyeing me. Why aren't you fighting them? And then you may say, well, I shouldn't have to fight a man because they looked at you. She's gonna say, well, I shouldn't have to change my fucking outfit because a guy looked at me. What do you do? Right?
So I see where you're coming
Yeah.
from. If I have to resort to violence against every man that looks at you when you're a 10 out of 10 bombshell, I'm going to prison by the end of the day.
Sure.
Like, that's just that example's answer. But what I'm referring to is you kind of need to respect them a little bit. I understand you're smoking. Like,
Yeah.
that's not my problem. My thing here is how you're reacting to their looks. If you're smiling, giving the flirty look, I can't respect that. Because I know.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can understand the reaction. You know, that is definitely different from dressing one way, because I definitely don't think any woman should do anything revolving around another guy. Like, do you kind of get what I'm saying? It's a little bit bizarre when, especially if the woman has a boyfriend, right? That the boyfriend's asking the girl to cater to other men, and even though he's asking her to cover, in a way, you're asking her to, dress, in a certain kind of way due to these men. You're catering to the men. What even though it's not in a way that satisfies them, it's like she shouldn't have to really consider anybody's or any of these men that she doesn't know their reaction or their opinions or care they exist, right? Especially if she's in a relationship. You kind of get where I'm getting at with that. So I think people, yeah, no, 100%. But just because they are dogs doesn't mean that she shouldn't be able to wear the nice clothes that she bought or the clothes that she thinks are cute, right?
No, absolutely not. I think you may have hung up on the dress portion. My problem was never the dress.
Right.
The whole you look amazing, babe, right? My problem is sometimes it looks like you're throwing these dogs a bone and you're just giving them signs to come approach you. And if she rejects that approach, I've made my position clear, and she continues to do it, we should end the relationship.
But does that happen though? Like, I don't think women are smiling and doing that with other men though. I mean, have you met a woman that's done that? Because the men that fight over clothes are usually just don't like, their issues that other men are looking at her. I'm
not saying every woman does it, but there are some cases where it happens. But then again, we could argue that some men are just extremely insecure about the way you look. You look too hot. Dial it down. That's insane to say. Right? Mm-hmm. So my thing is, the example was meant more to shine that you have to make your position known in the relationship. You 100%. Said it for yourself. If I'm not willing to get rid of the vape, I didn't sign up to do that, I'm not going to do that. Why would I continue to keep hammering home on that? When you've made your position known, I can only do one thing. Either respect your decision or keep trying and pushing your boundaries.
Right.
Your natural reaction would be, okay, go. I don't want to be in this anymore. Bye.
Exactly.
Almost the same response, just a different scenario. Men just don't know how to communicate that well.
Right. And I think the issue where the relationship gets toxic is that men don't leave. I think anybody who's unhappy in a relationship should leave. Right. Mm-hmm. And the issue with the men is they don't. You will see that with friends and you'll see that with family. You won't see it with incels because they hate women and everyone kind of hates them. But you'll see it everywhere and you'll be wondering, why are you even in that relationship when you both hate each other? And that is almost the most depressing one because it always boils down to convenience. Yeah, that's
They're basically my Big Mac. McDonald's fast food relationship. It's depressing in every angle.
Yeah, I find that very weird. Like, I honestly do not understand people that do that, to be honest. But I did want to ask, because, like, you mentioned that you're trying to quit corn. What I'm
Desperately.
I'm just curious, like, what are the consequences of your addiction? Like, you know, so when you are just watching it, just buying the corn, like, how's that harming
So-
you?
Here's what it is. Have you ever tried to tell yourself, no, I'm not vaping? And actively have to fight your mind whenever you look at a vape.
I've never
Have you
tried
ever-
to quit.
Have you done
No.
that yet?
No, never. But
The second you try to give something up that you find pleasurable, your body will find ways to circumvent that thought. So with corn, I think you might know this, being having OF. Women are pretty much God's greatest gift to man.
True.
The mere body of a woman can just get a guy going sometimes. Some men are like that. There are a lot of women on IG, there's a lot of women in marketing, and there are a lot of women in real life who look amazing. It doesn't take a lot for a man to go switch, internally and mentally switch that lever to get aroused. So when you grow up in that mindset where I have easy access to attractive women on my handheld, I can look at them whenever I want and they're all around me. How hard do you think it'll be the first time you try to run from them? To turn away from it?
I guess
when it's
why
everywhere?
even turn? Like, why even quit? Is what
Because
I'm
I
wondering.
waste hours of my day.
Are you happy?
Here's an example. I'm not. So listen, here's my, when I'm not doing it, I can spend a lot of time working on passions, a lot of time eating properly, or spending 2 hours in the gym just doing my own thing. And I feel phenomenally better. But when I do anything revolving corn, it is like you, to be like very honest, it's just like you filth. You did it again. Now you wasted all this time for this quick fix.
So it's like an all-day thing. So it's like playing video games all day, but it's watching and jacking all day.
Yes.
Man, that's crazy. I mean,
There's a point. This is a natural thing, and it's not just me. People who are severely addicted to pornography, sometimes they have to take longer for them to achieve the ending. So they'll spend hours just looking at it, just looking for something to finally get going and get them off. This also leads to other extremes where the usual vanilla man, man and woman, right? Man and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, doesn't do it anymore. So they got to go look for extremes. That's why you can see anywhere on good old Hubby over there, the taste that is on the front page. It's barely vanilla at this point. Corn has a severe effect on the mind because we're good at handling pain. Like, us humans are really good at handling pain. We're terrible at handling pleasure.
I see. Well, yeah,
So
definitely. If it's all day, man, then yeah, like that's great. Okay, I had no clue men were doing all day. Like, I thought it was like a 10-minute thing.
Nah, so this is why I'm like, you're kind of lucky. And also, like why I was like earlier, you're kind of more like a guy because you're more nonchalant about it. But I don't know if you're asexual or just have very low sex drive. I don't know your life, but that is how some men are. Like they just get going at the sight of a woman, and I can't fault them because obviously I'm one of them.
Wait, but how am I like a
are generally-
guy?
So you're just nonchalant about it. You don't really care, right? A lot, like you were talking about earlier, people who gets highly insecure. People like that are more emotional, which biologically it is women who are more emotional because of hormones and all that stuff.
Oh,
But
okay.
men aren't really taught how to handle their emotions other than anger. So that's how it always comes out, as this demanding rage, this over-aggressive masculinity, this, domination through war and conquest, as Andrew Tate loves to put it, right?
Right.
We only know the aggressive side. Men have not always just been aggressive. The overly aggressive males always get into problems. They get either incarcerated or they end up 6 feet under. You need to actually know how to handle your emotions.
Right.
But this is kind of why I was like, I had to come on with an exact topic for a debate, because I think you're agreeing a lot with me, or at least seeing some viewpoints.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it does help to understand, like, the extent of where the addiction goes, because, a lot of men don't really make themselves look good when, and then I brought up how, oh, well, there's worse things going on. Why aren't you guys paying attention to that? And they're just like, because it comes across as jealousy, honestly, but then, because, they don't really tell the woman that, oh, this is taking up all of my time, or, oh, I can't work because of this,
Yeah,
so
you
that
guys
gives
don't
more
have the same sex
context.
drive as us. It's really hard to explain that. You guys don't suffer the same symptoms we do. Like, I think it's easier if I spoke with a woman who is swinging for the same team. I could say lesbian on YouTube, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But if I spoke with her, she would kind of understand it, the attraction for women. But it's the sex drive that we really suffer from. This is why they always hammer home, oh, you're supposed to have as many wives as possible so you can make sure you're at your most efficient, so your body is running at optimal. No. Because now you have multiple women suffering just so you can get, a nut off.
So I do have this question.
That's not fair.
With everything you just said, so I am curious. So hypothetically, so say a man who doesn't have a porn addiction, right? Let's say he's clean, he's virgin, everything's perfect, but then he gets a wife and then he begins to be sexually active with her. Can he develop something similar to what you have going on, but except it's not porn, it's just sex all the time? Is that possible, or?
Kind of, but it also depends on the man, right? We all know sex is very pleasurable. We're kind of built to do it. We're the whole 80% of our existence is to reproduce, and half of our technology has really been so we can just do the act instead of making babies. And a lot of our arguments have just been, let me keep doing the act without caring about the babies. But when it comes to a marriage thing, it depends on how bad he is. Because some people can just be addicted to their wife, and as long as they're able to keep it between the wife and him, that's kind of okay. It's A-okay because it's just him and the wife. She's consenting. Obviously, her man wants her. What's more to love?
Well, even if she is consenting, because what I was thinking is, so if this is what it is, then it sounds like a bigger issue than just porn. Because the thing is, even if she is consenting, there's no way a woman wants to do that all day, every day. That's crazy. Do you get what I'm saying?
Women do.
Really?
It's a sex drive thing. So that's why.
All day, every day.
I guess for you, some women like that. Some women, I don't know if you're very aware of book talk, if you're aware of that freak culture, right? And I mean freak, I mean circus freak. I mean they read some pretty raunchy stuff. And it's just out in the open.
What's a book talk?
Book talk is the coined term for what females are reading over on TikTok. They're discussing smut novels, which is just pornography novels for them, where some of the topics involve highly aggressive dominating men, wealthy men, highly attractive men, these the same type we talk about in real life that women would run from are the ones in these books that they're getting off to.
Okay, so basically written corn.
Yes.
Okay.
It's almost the exact same effect, but just in words instead of video.
Why wouldn't they want the video?
Women mentally do not receive the same arousal via the same way that men do. men, like you'll hear time and time again, probably in future debates, we're visual creatures. Women need to be lulled into that.
Okay, so it's
you're
like
special. You're the only
okay.
one, right? I'm not just any man. I'm the top of the top, and you're the one that makes me weak, right? I'm the strongest there is, but with you, I'm the most gentle I'll ever be, right? So like that is what they kind of need to get into it. And sometimes it could just be real filth, but I'm gonna save that for a different time.
That's crazy, man. So like women are basically like getting off to fucking books and like fake shit. Like that's crazy. Like
I'm not pulling your leg. I'm not pulling your leg. I swear.
No, I'll definitely look into that, but I do believe you because like there's no way any woman's watching porn. Like I obviously do not visit the website, but you don't need to visit the website to know what's on it. You could pretty much kind of you hear about it, you know, you'll see in the comments, memes and shit. Stepmom, stepsis, crazy stuff like that, and it's like, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know the memes you're talking about.
Yeah, and like I just think it's terrible because it's like, man, no mom looks at her kid like that, and it's like I would be very hurt and offended if my kid ever like do you get what I'm saying? Like that would really hurt my feelings, right? Or like if I had a sibling and like that's very like mean, right? So there's no way a woman's watching this.
We have to come circling back to because I think we're starting to do more learning here.
Yeah.
And debating.
But I guess what I wanted to say.
We need to make sex intimate again. We need to like put it behind marriage. Just keep it like man and woman because we've gone off the rails with it.
Right. But what I do want to say though is it possible that okay, so say you ban everything. Because you said that the men that may be wanting to do it all day, every day, like that's a personality type. Like it may not be every man, it may vary. It's a personality thing. Is it possible that if all of these things, you know, if we ban everything, well, then the new problem is wives are wanting to divorce their husbands because it's too much. He's ruining my job. I can't do anything. That my children are getting basically like not being driven to where they need to be, pretty much neglected because this guy won't leave me alone. You know, it's like it's failing my kids. Like so it sounds like a bigger issue, right?
I'm only giggling because there are some women that would hear that and be like, oh no, my lobster's too buttery, my steak is too juicy. There are some women who like being desired. There's the whole reason they married their husband, right? Like that was
like people with families or like single families or like what kind of like are you talking in like a marriage where there's no children?
Let's talk nuclear because I think this makes it a lot normal, and then we'll see deviation from it. Like the further out we go, nuclear wise, like just having a family, one man, one wife, one husband, one wife. Yeah, some wife like being desired, especially I think if you can remember me from yesterday when you talked about like 20 years down the line and their husband is not looking at them the same because they're looking at younger, more attractive women, and then all of a sudden he starts desiring her again like she's 20. Some women would rebel, and others, I get where you're coming from. Like, it's a lot of work, but it's just who your partner is. There's a lot of plug and play, but you have to understand who your partner is and how you care for them, because you cannot care for this person how you care for this one. You cannot care for your mom the same way you care for your boyfriend. You cannot care for your cousin the same way you care about your coworker. We kind of can, but there's a little bit of a difference.
Right. But
it's just that's the approach. Go ahead.
Do you at least agree that like, okay, if you're a family, you have a kid, you have a young kid and they're very needy, right? Need a lot of work, right?
Okay.
And if you're just wanting to sleep together all day, would you not agree that that's actually not good? That's because it's going to kind of lead to your kid being neglected.
I think you're going to see the logic really quick. This is where you're both grown adults and you both know, like, well, you said yourself, the second I get on a game, I know I need to have it reserved for a holiday, right?
Right.
So if we're going to end up doing this, we need to make sure the kids are out of the house and taken care of.
Exactly. So it's a self-control. self-control is the key, right? Because the thing is,
Self-control is really hard.
right, because in theory, right, you could have a guy that's able to do this. Because just like with the video game, like I know I don't have that, so I'll only open it on the holiday, right? But then some people don't even have, and then some guys could just do just an hour of gaming and close it, right? I dated a guy like that, just very good discipline. But then there's some people that don't have any of this, right? Some people will just straight up ruin their life for the game. So do you agree that like if you are a guy who's addicted to sex, right, and you lack self-control or lack that kind of strategic thinking, I'd say that's kind of what I use. Don't you think that could be problematic? Because it's like, okay, like you're not letting your wife take care of your kid and you're not taking care of your kid, right? And it's selfish, right? So what it boils down to is I think that men just need to learn self-control, right? You should be able to do the things you want to do, like, be able to get intimate with your wife. And I think you should be able to watch porn, just like getting intimate with your wife, but while fulfilling your responsibilities or not letting it ruin your life or ruin your kid's childhood. Like, does that make sense? Because, like, I don't think the answer is banning things. Because in that case, okay, so with a man that has no self-control, do you just tell him that, hey, you just can't have sex is banned? Or you can't have a wife,
So,
right?
Self-control. Saying have self-control is easier said than done.
Yeah, so I kind of wonder if there's
everybody
any...
can be disciplined.
Right.
This is like, I'll finish, and I know you won't want to go almost a bit here, but discipline is very hard. If everybody was disciplined, everybody would have that self-control you're talking about.
Right.
And when it comes to having sex with your partner, if you're a sex addict and you're only focused on your partner, that would kind of come with the terms of like, oh, hey, I found out about this addiction, but I don't want this to turn bad for us. Like if I'm like extremely attracted to you and I just want to be with you alone and I only see you, a problem arises when you have that same partner start looking at other women, because you can already see where this spells disaster. He's going to go out and cheat. Like that's going to be an inevitability because he needs it. He's going to rationalize it like, I need this. He's going to, I'm married, but I really need to get my rocks off.
Yeah, that's kind of tough.
Marriage
honestly,
is really hard. Marriage is really hard for that topic.
Right.
Because people aren't ready to understand what it means to be married. You have to sometimes sacrifice a little bit of your comfort to ensure your partner is doing well. If your partner is an addict and you're already married, you don't want to put them in a bad environment. You don't want to give them all that stuff. And you want to make sure they're aware of it too, so they don't end up trying that stuff. It's give and take. So it's very hard. But I don't want to make it sound easy, because if everything was easy, we would never have problems. Sex trafficking would be gone.
Right, for sure.
No one would ever be touched against their consent. Completely gone. And we don't live in a perfect world.
I do have a question, because I'm not, I just learned about the extent of this addiction, like, and I don't know much about, like, the, I guess,
you want to hear a fun fact?
Huh?
You want to hear a fun fact?
Sure.
We don't know the effect of porn on an innocent mind.
Oh.
Not because we've never found a test, we've never looked for it. Every male at this point has seen pornography up to a point where it's corrupted their brain, that we have no neutral test examples to go off of.
Oh, so it's that bad. That's crazy.
It's really deep nowadays. So we don't know how bad it is. The only comparisons we know how to make is comparisons to other drug addicts.
Because honestly...
Well, I'm not a drug addict. There are some men who have like almost the same brainwaves as like a meth head. As, cocaine.
Right. Because honestly, to me, with all of this context, this sounds like a failure on the, what's the word, the medical department, right? It's like, if it's really like that, it's like the definition of a, disability or like, needing help is that it gets in the way of your life. Just like depression. What makes depression so serious is that you're unable to function, right? Get to your job or do things without
The
having
problem
sad
is how
thoughts,
much
right?
money is made in
So
pornography.
maybe it's not OF, maybe it's not, maybe like, are there medications available, or is there professional help men could be getting, or is that not something that's been, you know?
There's professional help, but it's starting to come around because the stigma of a man being addicted to pornography is very looked upon, like how you were earlier. Just control yourself. Stop looking at it. But
Right.
nowadays, people have done more research. There's a lot more help groups. The only, like I said, the major downside in this is that pornography makes so much money that we're not going to just let it go. You want to tell a world of addicts that their addiction is bad and they're just going to outright deny you. So there are a few of the addicts who want help to get away from it, but it's just not socially accepted yet.
I mean,
And it's not
honestly,
going to be for a little bit.
to me, it doesn't sound like it's necessarily the corn that's the issue. And the reason why that is because if you were to have a wife, or you could be in theory completely pure, then get a wife. But if you had that addictive personality, right, where you were more susceptible to developing that kind of constant need, then okay, then it's like you're kind of doomed, right? So therefore, to me, it sounds like banning corn is just a temporary band-aid solution. Really what it is that, you know, there needs to be like, you know, medical intervention, like maybe medication, like there'd be for depression, so that, you know, whether it's like, you know, you're single, but the corn, you know, it's getting in the way of your work, you know, like depression, there should be like a medication and treatment plan, right? Or if you're married and like, you know, you're ruining your relationship with your wife because you have kids and your wife's like, man, I can't do this, man. I need to take the kid to practice, right? Or need to take the kid to, you know, her friend's house or whatever the case is, or, oh, I need to breastfeed. I just gave birth to this, or maybe, you know, and I know for a fact, I mean, there's no way a pregnant woman's going to want to be sexually active, right? So is that where the relationship falls? If you are somebody that is addicted to sex, does it fall at the pregnancy because she's no longer able to be sexually active because she's sick? So it sounds like a bigger issue.
Circumvents, but I don't want to hone in on that specific example. I do want to go back to pornography being not the main culprit.
Right.
So when it comes to people who have highly addictive personalities, it's kind of hard to pinpoint what they look like because they look like anybody. And I can tell you, like, if you look at gambling addicts, it's almost like virtually the same thought process for the addiction. It's just gambling. It's just the flashing lights and the money and the high, right? That they get addicted to gambling, and, you know, maybe by the end of the night, their house has 2 mortgages against it. They're bankrupt, right? But with pornography, the effects it has is horrible. It would be like me recommending cocaine or meth without telling you the drawbacks.
Right.
That's how bad it is currently, and nobody's going to really advertise it. Like, maybe a few people who've gotten clean of it, maybe a few people who've tried it and never needed, like, never severely got addicted, because there are people that exist like that, are able to say, yeah, no, that thing sucks. Don't do it. But there are people who make a lot of money off the substance who would never do that. That's how I earn my living, right? I'm not going to get rid of my customers. That's dumb. So pornography, again, is super influential, but it would still not be the cause, because we are lustful in our nature outright. Pornography is just another outlet. It's just some people get more addicted to it than others.
I'm just taking off a sweater. I hear what you're saying. I mean, like, why do you think these incels, like, don't, or, like, you know, these guys that complain, like, you know, it's like the, you know, I guess the severity of the addiction is, like, the last thing they talk about. Because, you know, this is the first time I've ever heard about this, you know, and I used to make jokes about how, oh, you all live in your basements and probably whack off 30 times back to back. That was a joke.
We gotta laugh at the misery sometimes. I know what you're talking about.
You're right, but like no one like says
there's always
that.
some truth in comedy.
Right, But no, like, that's crazy. Like, I was trolling when I made that joke, but no, but what I'm hearing is apparently I was calling men out. Like,
No, like,
it's wild, but
I'm roommating with somebody. It's fine. But I didn't delve into this because I think you wanted to debate exclusively on like sexuality, OnlyFans, these very like explicit nature content. Where we're going with this feels more societal because we have two different expectations society-wise. With women, I've noticed in recent years, it's very simple. It's get your money, get a degree for some reason, and get yourself a good man. And F men, they're all terrible. Like the expectation is men are all bad, find a good man. Very counterintuitive stuff, but also only be with them for his money and make sure you're smart. Like that's like pretty much the whole guideline for women. Men, it is suffer and pay for her lifestyle. Be the very best man or don't be there at all. Right? So we have a lot of hostility towards men nowadays that we don't like to address.
right. No, that's true.
Right? Because we kind of like suck it up, Buttercup. It's not that big a deal. And you're only saying that because no girl likes you, brother. Like, it's not because no girl likes you. It's because every girl's been taught, and even some, biological need, to have the very best man. And if you're not him, they don't look in your direction at all. We only see the celebrities. For men, we don't see the average Joes.
I
And
think
these guys
yeah.
are like kind of below average Joes. So that's even worse for them.
I think part of the reason why, women, with the all men are bad or like not trusting men or giving men a chance is because, I mean, even with, you've seen the news, and you're aware of how prevalent, the violence is, what men are doing to women. It's like the problem is you never know which one of the guys approaching you is a complete psycho, and just all it takes is one can end your life, right? So that's not something anybody's willing to roll the dice on because it's true, it only takes meeting one wrong guy, one psychopath, or being nice back to one wrong guy. So it's like, and if it was the other way around, men would be the same way. This is not something anybody would want to roll the dice on. So part of it is that I think that, if men, maybe got more therapy and committed crimes less or whatever they need, just got the help that they need. And if crime, in general kind of went down, that there'd be more trust. And, with the expectations, women having high...
You're arguing against human nature.
What do you mean? Oh, human nature.
There are men who can do what you said. But
Right.
there are men out there who are by, either it could be their upbringing or just by their hormones, biology, whatever it might be, belief, that are extremely aggressive. And the second you tell them not to do something, they'll punch you in the face. The second you reject them, they're choking you out. Like, they're not very pleasant men because their aggression is turned up to 11, whereas some men have it at only maybe 5. Some have it at 6, maybe some have it at 2. But it's very hard to argue against that because what you're saying isn't something new. Women throughout the ages have always had that issue. Men have always been doing that.
Yeah,
It's just, at this point, we can't get away from it. We're just more aware of it, so we're trying to help prevent more of it. If you want, for example, like how bad it gets, even like the sex trafficking stuff could be from boyfriends, women trusted men, who are either from the family, right? But then we see in that same trade, it could be women who are also selling other women into it. Nobody's really trustworthy. We're always taking kind of a gamble, but we can't live like everyone's a psycho. And that's where you see a lot of feral nature between both women and incels. These men who are on the margins, and most women who are like, yeah, you guys are acting just like the monsters I've been told about. You guys can't take no for an answer. Like, for real? It's just no. It's not that big a deal.
Right.
But it's just, there's a lot of moving parts that you have to actually like understand, be aware of, take into consideration. Because I get it from a woman's perspective. You're being very selective with each man who approach you, because any one of them could just be the last one.
Right,
There's
and
plenty
that's
of
just
women
part
who
of it.
do self-defense classes who are like, yeah, I feel safer with a firearm than with my own hand skills, because I've seen a guy who's 40 years old and overweight, and he managed to beat me down.
Right, but that's just one part of it. When it comes to the woman's, I guess, what they're expecting out of a guy, I think that has more to do with, I think, you know, just like the men being kind of crazy. Throughout history, men have always been more interested in women than women have been in men, right? So I think that's going to kind of be inherent, right? So when you have a girl that just wants to...
This is why I said women are, you know, God's gift, right?
Yeah.
Because men are obsessed with you guys. It's very hard for us to not be.
So it's like when you have a girl that just wants to like sit at home and just like be left alone, how do you convince her to come out? You know, it's like, that's where it's like, you know, you could feel like, well, I shouldn't have to like do a bunch of, you know, crazy things or like put all this money and effort. Then it's like, okay, well then let her sit at home then, right? Like you get what I'm saying? It's like, you know, it's just the reality of what it is. It's like the reality is, it's like, you know, a girl's not really going to be very motivated to go to a coffee date, right? The reality is, if you offer her something nicer that she wants to go to, she might be a little bit more motivated to go. And this seems to make men angry. And it's like, hey, you know, it's your choice to participate or not participate in dating, right? So yeah.
To give you like how I have to feel about this, because I hate every reality of this. I wish we were in an ideal world. Obviously, you cannot keep your daughter at home. You cannot keep your girlfriend at home. You cannot keep your wife at home. That is insanity.
Well, no, like I'm talking like
them.
well, I want to clarify. So I'm talking like a single adult woman whom is not interested in dating, right? You know, so imagine a man his coworker Sarah. He wants to date Sarah. Well, Sarah's not really interested in a relationship. Sarah just wants to go to work, get home, and take a nap, right? So it's like, how do you convince Sarah to go out with you? Well, odds are a coffee date is she's not really likely to go on that, right? She just wants to lay in bed, take her nap so she could get up for work. So the reality is, if you offer Sarah a nicer date or somewhere she wants to go, she's more likely to go. But a lot of men complain. They feel like they should not have to spend a lot of money or they shouldn't have to put all this effort. But it's like, okay, well then, you know.
Society's answer is awful for this, because it's like, yeah, fork out $300 for this one girl to impress her and she might like you. First of all, on both parties, never go somewhere expensive for a first date. If you do, at least make it more so. So say you like a music artist and I like a music artist, and I invite you to come to this music artist. Either you're going to show up with me, we both get to enjoy the good time here, or I get a friend who can come with me and I get to hang out with my bro. So like it's how you approach that. But in general, if he wants to get to know Sarah, he has to get to know Sarah.
Right.
You can't force somebody into dating. That's insanity. Like me. I like you. Why don't you like me? You can already hear the incel talk coming out of it.
Exactly. And I think a lot of men kind of have that view, right? So that's the issue, you know, and then it's like, it's almost like they come across as whining toddlers, almost, you know, and it's like, I think men need to kind of learn how to respect people's boundaries. Maybe some women might not want to have a boyfriend, no matter what you do for them, right? Maybe some women might just not really be motivated by a cheap date. She's not willing to go out for that, right? So it's just like, you just got to accept reality and respect people's boundaries. And I think men have a hard time doing that, you know?
we already know that men have a hard time handling rejection overall. So it's like that just feeds into it, right? But for Sarah's case, if a man needs to approach her or even convince her, first of all, he needs to get to know Sarah. Any man who starts worshiping the image of the woman instead of the actual woman will put her on a pedestal she did not ask to be, and the only end result is a lot of incellers say she's going to look down on you. Like that, you're not going to get what you wanted. If you want to know Sarah and date Sarah, do not date the image you have of her in your mind. If Sarah likes books, know what books she likes. If Sarah has an interest in an artist, know the damn artist. Know the person, not the image. There's a huge difference that we don't talk about, or we just refuse because we want it quick and easy, and I just want Sarah's body.
Right.
Right? So it's just practical dating advice, honestly, that I think we've lost due to like our very over-sexualized nature in, I guess, the Western world. It's like, well, women only are resorted to the vagine between their legs, and the men's only good for his wallet. Like, that's extremely reductive, and neither one of you are people at that point. Because if, say Sarah at the end of it, and I still get to know her, and she doesn't want to date anybody, my best decision, move on.
Right.
Sucks.
Yeah, and like sometimes women, and what I will say too is another reason why women are less so wanting to participate in dating is because think about it, like today women are doctors, lawyers, accountants, like very much, heavily kind of in the fucking workforce. You have women in every single field. So, some women are just too busy. And even besides just working, shit happens, you might have a girl that fights with her mom all the time, obviously, and she's not really emotionally available. Does that make sense? So I think men are just really inconsiderate, right? So they're very impatient, they're not considerate, and and it causes things to kind of blow up because there's a multitude of different reasons why a woman may not be emotionally available or willing to date at that moment. So another big key is patience, right? Because Sarah might not be emotionally, ready to date or emotionally available or have the time right now, but then maybe in 7 months things change and now Sarah's ready. It's like a lot of times maybe had you not ruined your relationship with Sarah, maybe Sarah would have, you would have been the first one she considered when she was ready, right? But men will blow their chance before they, kind of like pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
So
I know it's like I said, men aren't really taught to communicate well, so that's why you always see them blow up their chance. Some men haven't really handled rejection often enough to get used to it, so they overreact. I'm one of them. Trust me, I've done it. It's really hard to put yourself out there. Not a lot of men are confident, but when it comes to like that kind of stuff, I think there's a little bit of a society issue. We really pressure women to focus on getting a lot of money immediately as soon as they can. And we don't like, hey, when you get a lot of money, you're going to want the best of the best. No one wants to debate that. But I think we're also, if you are already a good doctor, you're going to look for an even better surgeon, right? You can't look at somebody who's a nurse and be like, that's my man now. It's just, women don't do that. A lot of like Western women don't do that because they're not taught to. They're taught to go for the best man possible. So
I mean, it's rare, but I've seen some families, like some of my parents, like they have a situation, or some of my friends' parents have a situation where the dad's at home actually because the dad happens to be very, do you get what I'm saying? Have more energy, be better at being a mom, right? So, and the mom just happens to make more money. So not necessarily, because I think people should do what they're good at, right? It's like, and women that make a lot of money don't necessarily always go for.
I don't think we should use the extremes.
Right, but I think it's possible, but
more time coming around. It is possible. I agree.
But I think the issue with men is, like what I think it is, you know, certain things like men are like, you know, telling women they should be in the kitchen. It's like the misogyny, you know, it's causing like this further divide, right? And I do feel like there are some men that are not really, you know, capable of making money, but maybe they're really good at cleaning and cooking, right? But I just feel like, you know, part of what would solve this is if, you know, there was less misogyny, right? If men were able to, you know, just like how women are becoming more masked or like working more, doing male dominated fields or more in male dominated fields, if we normalize men in more female dominated fields at the same time, I think there'd be, do you kind of get where I'm getting at with this? More
I know
people finding their
you're
match.
going.
You know, like there
it's
are a
bit-
multitude of different areas where like, you know, women and men are kind of being failed, right? And this is not the only thing, obviously, but that's something that would help too. You know, I think toning down misogyny, obviously, if that kind of makes sense.
I think we love to blow up misogyny more than it actually is. So I also don't want to lean on the exceptions that is your friend's parents, because I'm very happy they're able to do that. That's not usually the rule. The rule, like
I'd say 20%
like,
actually. I have multiple friends where like, not multiple, I'd say 20% of the friends that I've had, the dad's at home, right? Because mom makes more money, right? One of my friends' mom was actually a doctor, a heart doctor, and you know, dad did work, but I guess when they got married, it kind of was to the point where like, okay, well, you make more money and I'm good at taking care of the house. It doesn't make sense for you to quit your job if you're making more money. So that's how it happens. Or one of my friends.
This is why you have a unique mindset.
Right, yeah, because I've seen a lot.
Towards a guy right now. Because you're like, what's the efficiency here? I don't see why I would have you also work too.
And I think a lot of women that are intelligent and to add to the point, like I think a lot of smart women think the way I do. They're going to think more efficiently. So I think actually it's not necessarily that the women that make the most money are going to want to marry the guy that, you know, has the highest paying job or the same job as them. I think those women are going to be more likely to accept or equally value a partner who, you know, has those domestic, I guess, qualities, right? But obviously at the beginning of any relationship, no matter what, the man always will have to pay for the woman and treat the woman. But it's like, I think what men don't get is it's only later on, right? Because every single house husband, you know, obviously the woman wasn't paying for the guy. You know, it's like the guy initially had a job. My other friend who her dad's a, you know, house husband, he was a tennis athlete, right? But he had an injury. But luckily her mom made a lot of money, so it didn't really matter because it worked out, right? So.
Right. So I have to go back to what we cater to, what's advertised nowadays, because I'm very happy you have a lot of people that are living that way and have like really good lives. But society is leaning more towards women need to earn the best they can and then find a man who can match them or exceed them in their field, kind of thing. You are very lucky to see like the results where women are just happy that the man's taking care of everything at home and still willing to do the grueling work that requires that high skill, that requires that intense focus. Women statistically are doing better than men at colleges. But it's also because it's mainly women that are going to colleges. It's women who are getting these high-paying degrees nowadays. Men are just resorting to either going to the basement or are going for average, everyday trade jobs. You don't see like high-paying men anymore or like CEO-type level men because they're just few slim. But
like, why do you think that is? I wanted to know your view on that. Why is it that men are failing out or like men are not going as much?
I think we've become a society that wants to demonize men to make it easier for others to live. We want to blame all the men for what the evil men do in society. And while this may never change, I'm hoping it does, we don't want to give that gray area. We want to keep it black and white. We want to say, like before, how men used to run everything in the 1950s. Nowadays, feminists is like men should be the slave and women should be like the master. Or if we don't want to use those terms,
what's the problem with that, though?
men can take the back seat. Women are the breadwinners now.
Yeah, but honestly, I feel like, I do feel like men are better at domestic labor, and every man I've met I've never met a woman that cooked better than a man. Men clean better, so I kind of feel like the feminists have some merits. A lot of men are kind of better at the things that, society tries to say women are meant to do. So, I mean, what do you think about that? Do you not think that there's some merit there, right?
I think that's been out of necessity because feminists have demonized that which women used to excel in. If you want, you can just look around on the internet and talk about how old grandmas used to make these amazing quilts, how they used to do this amazing home cookings, how people in like the black community have these recipes that died with grandma. Like grandma was the one who made everything taste wonderful. No one cooks like her. And nowadays it's like the men have to cook that way because women have been told, don't get in the kitchen. You're playing to the misogynist viewpoint. When in reality, men and women should know how to cook. If you can't make an egg, what's wrong with you?
Facts.
And I say that as somebody who's actually burnt like eggs. It took me at like 21 to do that. I made mess of pasta. I make amazing pasta now. Do I cater to myself like I should? No, that's because I'm a fool, but I don't apply myself to everyone else. Men have gotten better at stuff due to necessity and the demonization of what women used to do. And while women don't have to do it anymore, they can still be better at it. But now it's like, oh, you're good at cooking? Well, your man must keep you in the kitchen. Like, people just offhandedly say that. And sometimes it's more women than it is men. I think incels are just saying that out of, like, spite. Because they know, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with the term rage baiting at this point. They're just rage baiting women. So,
no, man, some of them are serious. No,
getting each other mad.
They are definitely not rage baiting. Man, did you see the last interviews, man? Like, or the ones I did, like, I guess the first series of Incel Debate yesterday?
I mean, yeah, but I mean, when I'm talking about rage baiting, I'm talking about what can I say to piss you off the most? I may be mad myself, but I'm also going to get you upset as well. And if I know me saying go back to the kitchen is what's going to get you mad, why would I not immediately go for that? Right? And that's kind of like how it works. And you see it with more incels, how if you reject them, was like, well, you looked ugly anyways. All that makeup made you look like
right, yeah, no. Some of them, right. I do think a lot of men really do. Like, guys, comment in chat. Do you believe women really belong in the kitchen? I feel like at least 70% of them actually believe this. I'm not even joking, man. Like, last night, I had guys fucking telling me, the anti-abortion bros, that they'd make their fucking daughter have a great baby. And they fucking went for hours.
I had to ditch you on this one, but I'm one of them only because I can't support the evil of the ex.
Right.
I don't want my daughter to, like... I understand. Abortion sucks outright for me.
Yeah, and like the daughter's a baby, man. Like, like...
I get it. I'm like, I can't have... Like, baby, I understand.
Yeah.
I don't want you to do it to the baby because he's innocent or she's innocent. You don't want to come back to this years later with regret. I know this sucked. This was not great. So, like, I'm with them on that, but, like, some of them just cannot articulate, I don't want to, they said it before, I don't want to enable a necessary evil because it is still evil.
I mean, would you make your daughter carry it? Like, you'd ruin your relationship with her, and she's a baby, right? If she's underage, like, I just think it's ridiculous. These guys are like, oh, prioritize the baby. It's a life. Well, what about your baby? Your life that's in front of you. That's just how I see it.
My heart would weep for my daughter because I have failed to protect her.
Right.
And now she has this evil on her hands she has to decide. And I would strongly strongly advocate, keep the baby, he's innocent. Keep the baby, she's innocent. Don't take it out on them because of what the man did. This is outright wrong. Whatever your decision is, I want you to know, please keep them out of it. It wasn't their fault this happened. It was not your fault this happened. They're like, do not end this life because of the actions of an evil one.
Even if she was like 15 years old.
I think there's been cases where there's been even younger, and I would still have to say yes. Right? And I'm
that's
still
where
not
I'm mind
happy about
blown, honestly. Because do you not see, if your daughter was raped and ended up pregnant at 15 or younger, whatever, would you not see that girl as your baby? So if you really are about pro-life, what about the life of your baby in front of you, which is your daughter? Like that's the big problem I have with
She was violated. She was violated.
Right, but like, why not let her get the abortion? Or why, you know?
I would strongly advocate for her to keep the baby. I would strongly do it. I would, like I said, we have to keep them out of it. I want you to know this isn't fair. This should have never happened to you. I can't believe this has happened to you.
Right, but
I'm so sorry, all right?
You could mitigate the damage, though.
This life be ended. I don't think ending a baby's life repairs the damage.
But you're ending your daughter's life, and you're ending. Okay, but here's where I'm not getting it, because I hear what you're saying, but when you choose to not let this life be ended, aka the unborn baby, right, of your daughter, you are choosing at the same time you're choosing to end that baby's life, your baby's life, and your relationship with her. That's where I don't get it. Like, how can you pick this over your own one?
Let me counter with a question.
Right.
Would getting rid of the baby undo the act?
The grape? No. Okay. Getting rid of the baby.
Not remind you of it?
Getting rid of the baby would not undo the grape. But what you need to understand is, one, can you imagine like a young girl going through just going through pregnancy is fucking traumatizing, right? And on top of that, her life is fucked. Her life is over before she didn't even give her a chance, right? So that's not fair. Like, you kind of see where I'm
She
coming
already
from.
has the trauma. I don't want to add the abortion to it.
That's even worse, though. Like, honestly, like, forcing a woman to carry a baby, not even a woman, forcing a young girl to carry a baby that she didn't want, never wanted, and is going to ruin the rest of her life is worse than the grape. Because the grape was bad, but 5 minutes? But then what she's going through is going to be forever. So what you're doing is almost kind of worse, because you're enabling more damage, right? This is a forever thing. She's like stuck. You can't undo the baby, right? Because you didn't let her get the abortion. That's what I don't understand. Why on earth? Like, I could understand not liking abortion, right? Being against it. But, when men start to talk about how, if I had a daughter and she was pregnant, I forced her to keep it. This is like, man, like, you're ruining your relationship with that baby. You're ruining that baby's life.
This is where I kind of have to be the exception, where I will admit one thing that most men don't really admit. I will never understand the intimate experience of a woman's life. I can very vividly imagine it, but I will never have lived as a woman. That is not something I can understand. What I can understand is the act has already been done. What we do to this baby now is we tear it apart from your body, limb from limb, and remove its dead corpse from your body, so you don't have to be reminded of this evil that's been done to you.
It's not about being reminded. It's that so you don't have to experience pregnancy at 14 years old, and you don't have to give up on your dreams, whatever passions,
right?
To be a mom.
Since I know I wouldn't leave my daughter, that I want to make sure that, that's noted.
Right.
I cannot emphasize enough how much support I would have to give her, because this is like the most vile situation where abortion comes up. And I would still have to advocate for the life of the baby, because physically, once a woman is pregnant, the body doesn't know when the abortion happens. You might actually still experience this process of a pregnancy while the baby has long since been gone. And then there are women who get far more hormonal during this time. So
right, sure.
they'll look back on it and they'll think, I really ended a baby. Some women would be like, I got rid of that monster's baby. Right? I get the angle. I understand it wholeheartedly, but I can't state enough. The baby came in the world to the worst way possible. That is not fair to him.
I would hope that any parents, their priority be their baby. You know how they, you always hear you got to look after you first, right? I think that your baby and protecting your baby is the priority, right? I
gotta look after my family first, and
yeah,
unfortunately, due to this circumstance, that baby is my family now.
Oh my God!
The baby doesn't need to be raised with the fact of how it came in, but it's now part of my family. I have to deal with this. I can't.
But you don't see how that's kind of oppressive.
Done.
It's you don't see where this is oppressing your daughter because of a rapist, evil man's actions. Now her life is forever tainted because of your ideologies. You don't see any error in this.
I don't believe my ideology would have forever tainted her. She would already been
tainted her life.
No.
No. There's nothing wrong with her. It tainted her life. She's perfect. There's nothing wrong with the girl. Her life is tainted because she might not be able to do the things she wanted to do, right?
From that point on, she's not going to view sex as an intimate thing. She's already.
It's not about that. It's like she can't go to college. Who's going to breastfeed? I mean, do you know how to breastfeed? Like, she's going to have to. But
we have. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, please
finish. Do you kind of get what I'm saying? It's like you have to breastfeed. You have to. Okay, when the baby's yap, crying all the time, I doubt you're going to be willing to put up with that. Honestly, I wouldn't even put up with that. But she's gonna. You're gonna make her put up with it, right? And then it's so much more, like the breastfeeding to the care, and like it's easy to say that you're gonna help her, right? But then when it actually gets here and the baby's yapping constantly, you're gonna tell her, let's say your daughter's name's Meg, this is your fucking baby. It's gonna get to that point, right? Because you're gonna get fed up at some point, because it's a lot of work, and especially when you didn't.
My main counter to that is pretty simple. If I wasn't ready to raise a baby, I shouldn't have had the daughter in the first place. If I wasn't ready to take that responsibility, knowing what evils might afflict her, I should not have had a child, be married, date a woman in the first place.
Okay, so you're saying that you'd fully take care of it.
Acknowledge.
So you're telling me that you would make sure that your daughter, if she wanted to go to college, would go to college because you would supplement the care the baby needed. You put in the work.
She was going to already go to it if it wasn't. Well, if it's her decision, I would already have been assisting her on that endeavor. My thing is just pretty simple. I am responsible for your care, and I failed you.
Okay,
this is the least I can do.
Right, okay, I do agree with that. In that scenario, you're right. At least you would take accountability, but then how do you kind of what about the labor? Like, you don't think that it's unfair to force a young girl to go into labor and she didn't even want to do this? You don't think that's a little bit early? Have you ever, do you have any kids, or I'm just curious.
I want kids. But as I told you myself, since I'm a corn addict, I don't want to be addicted before looking for a wife. Because I'm not, dating for just a girlfriend. I'm dating to marry. That is the intent. Right, I am acknowledging every reality that comes with dating a woman. ensuring I become a good father. But before I can even become a good father, I got to make sure I'm a good husband.
Okay,
This is my priority.
What about labor? You don't think that someone who's 14 is too young to be going into labor, period? Like,
I don't think adding more details to the monstrous act that has happened.
well,
would
it's not
really
details.
dissuade me.
This is reality. If you force,
I know.
she will get to experience
even
that.
in that case, I would still, if it was C-section, if it was, natural labor, I would still advocate for the birth. I don't think we should return this evil act by murdering
What if it
another
ruins you and your
life.
wife's relationship? Okay, because honestly, realistically, your wife's gonna be like, like, I don't know what your name is, but John, she's fucking 14. I'm not having a pregnant baby in my house because she's a baby, right? So what if it ruins your relationship with your wife? Like, are you that passionate? Like, what do you think about that? Because that's the reality.
So, I think you want to say reality when this is, again, a hypothetical. Because in reality, I don't want to be married to a woman. Hold up. I don't want to be married to a woman that's going to turn tail from an evil act like that. We have to acknowledge there's wrong in the world. We do acknowledge it. We look at it everywhere. Even when we're going about our daily business, we know it's still possible for it to happen. But we can't pin the blame on the victims.
Okay.
We can't blame like a baby for being born because our daughter was violated. Like, we can't do that. We have to ensure this baby comes and is raised with love instead of the circumstance that allowed its father to do this. Right?
Can I ask you something super quick? Super quick. Do you understand that a woman could be anti-abortion, right? She could be super religious and pro-life, but do you understand that she may be on the same page as you, but when it's her daughter, when it's her baby, when it's her 14-year-old, it's different, right? For example, like, someone could be all for, anti-racism, but they're not going to move into Section 8. Do you understand? Do you get where I'm getting at here? I'm telling you, the reality is...
It might be a gross comparison, but I know the nature of what you're trying to say
So
to me.
you would never know that the woman you're marrying, because you're saying, oh, well, I'd make sure that my woman's not like that. There's no such thing as that, because you wouldn't know until it happened. So when you find out that she's not like a anti-abortion thug like you are, right? Like, she's not a ride or die for anti-abortion. The reality is, would you be willing to ruin your relationship? I just want to know, like, how far would you...
I want you to also consider this too, because my answer is already yes, but I want you to see it from
even
this
if it ruined your own relationship.
Hold on. So my answer was already yes, wholeheartedly. I have to stand on that because that's my ideal, and those are the grounds. The counter is, what if I married a woman and I did that?
What do you mean?
What if I told her, get rid of that baby? Or this relationship's over. This marriage is over. Right? That's possible. I could do that. I would never, because that's not my going to. But that is a very strong hypothetical. I fully understand people can change the way they think.
I think that's very different, though, because I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that. Hey, I don't want this. You either get rid of it or I'm out. What is wrong with that? You're being honest and you're letting her know the sitch, right? That is very different than making a 14-year-old who doesn't want a baby have a baby, regardless. Because in your example, hey, get rid of it or I'm out. There's consent. You're literally telling her, what do you want to do, right? You're giving her the ability to choose. Do I want to keep it no matter what, or okay, do I want to be in the relationship more than just keep it no matter what and be a single mom? Do you understand that? Like, forcing a 14-year-old to have a baby is very different than that. But
it's very difficult. I'm aware of what you want to say for the consequences. I understand. And this is why, like, I'm very glad you're asking this. I'm not, upset in any regard. I need you to ask this. Because if this nightmare ever occurs, I know what I will do. So that's why I'm very happy. I want you to know I would still do it. In the worst case scenario, I would still advocate to keep the baby. Because to me, the innocence of the baby matters more than all our feelings. That baby did not ask for this, and it needs to come into this world with open arms, love, and support.
But it's
that is
not feelings,
fair to that
though.
baby.
This is the issue. It's not feelings. When you do this, you are making the decision that this baby matters more than my baby, my daughter who's 14, matters more than my marriage with my wife and what she thinks. Do you get what I'm saying? It's not feelings, right? Because it's more than that at stake. If it was feelings,
It's a very strong mindset to have. It's a very strong mindset to
I'm
have.
just telling you reality, honestly. I'm just being very...
No, because I'm not comparing the life of my wife or the life of my daughter to the baby. We're talking about the act of what we're going to do to the baby as a group.
Right, but that would result...
I don't make the comparison. The end result is, do we keep the baby or do we not? What has already been laid in the foundation here is, as a family, we've already failed our daughter. She's been violated. She's pregnant now. She has a baby. Do we want her to kill the baby? Or do we want her to give birth to it and we'll take care of it? That is what the decisions will come down to. Because who's insane enough to say, yeah, this baby matters more than my wife? If my wife throws her marriage on the line, I will look at her like a lunatic, being, why are you throwing our marriage?
And if your daughter too, let's say both your wife turns on you and your daughter never forgives you, so you lose your wife and daughter, is it worth it? That's all I want to know.
For my beliefs and my ideals, yes. And it's not because I wanted to throw them away. It's not because I wanted to stand my ground. I believe every life is valuable, not because I'm raised in a religious environment, because I know what it's like to be treated worthless and to not have that love and affection with you. So if your mother and your grandmother rejected your existence, I will be the one who didn't. That is my responsibility as the grandfather. That is my responsibility as a dad, and that's my responsibility as a man to ensure this life is taken care of.
What if your daughter says to you, okay, Dad, I understand you believe these things. I don't believe that. So why don't you carry the baby instead, right? Because this could all crumble down the moment your daughter says, I don't believe this. I want an abortion and I'm 14. No, I'm not going to do a pregnancy. I don't care and I don't believe these things. What do you say then if she doesn't agree with you? And she's like, Dad, why don't you do it? Right?
I don't want to get too crazy.
Because listen, let me finish. Because it's a lot easier to say these things when the pregnancy's not your body. When you're not 14, facing, hey, I'm about to go to labor, my life's going to be changed forever, and it's a great baby. It's really easy to say that, obviously, right?
Yeah, I agree. Trust me, this is where we agree on a lot. Because I cannot understand what it is to be in labor. I'm a guy, right? So that's never going to be a reality for me. However, my angle is I would advocate. This is why I strongly said I would advocate. Some men force. There's a huge difference. I want her to know what the decision she's making. Because some people are just well, you got violated, get rid of the baby. They're not really talked about what the baby is, what the act is. Just get rid of it as soon as possible so you can continue on living a normal life. That's not the reality. Your body, like I said, physically, you do go through some stuff. Mentally, you've already been, your sanctity of your body has already been destroyed. The baby may not be there, but what the act has already been is already committed. So you've been changed. So let's give this a genuine talk. The baby is innocent in all of this. So whether you want to keep it or not, I want you to know it wasn't the baby's fault for the evil act that was against you. I want you to know what they're going to do to the baby if you decide yes. If not, you'll go about living your life, but you're still never going to trust another guy.
I have a question. If it was possible, if this was possible where they could safely transport the baby from your daughter's belly uterus to you, would you instead carry it? And you instead be the legal mother?
Okay, so this is a crazy.
Why are you hesitation? What the fuck? You should be yes.
I live as
Absolutely.
I live as a man. You're telling me to give her my existence entirely to put me in this hypothetical.
Wait, no. Look, what I'm asking
I got a picture
is
of having a vagina.
no. What I'm asking you is if they developed a technology to where a male could, keep a baby alive in its body to where, obviously I'm not into like Matt or any of this, but if it was the case where they could safely transport it, would you be willing to go through the labor? Would you be willing to go through the carrying it and all of this and be its legal guardian?
I'm getting whiplash. Don't get me wrong. I will answer the question. I'm getting whiplash because it's such a wild question. Because it's like if I asked you if you were given a penis, would you go out and impregnate every woman you met? It was like no. That defies your whole life right there. But I think we would have to say yes.
Okay, well at least you're not a hypocrite.
Okay. Right? I don't want to be a hypocrite. I'm like the natural order would be it's meant for a woman to carry a baby. But if we're going to defy all physics, I still believe the baby should get a fair go. I still believe it.
Okay. Well, I think that's great. I'm actually very happy to hear that, and so do you hope or do you wish that there was technology like that? Because, I've noticed a lot of men have the same kind of set of beliefs as you do, right? And, women feel like it's their body, their choice. So,
honesty, no.
Well, yeah, because it's easy to say, don't have the baby when it's not your body. Huh?
I know how to do what y'all do. I cherish you guys. I don't want to do what you do. That is painful. I don't know how you guys can.
Okay, but then how can you make your daughter do that then, And she's younger.
This is a tragedy I don't want to happen, but if we're talking recreationally to give birth to children, no, I don't want to do that. I'm not having kids, but I don't want to birth them. Without the extenuating circumstances, all right? Without extreme reason to do so, I don't want to do it.
So say that your daughter is hey, I don't want this, so I'm getting rid of it unless you want to take it, right?
Right.
Okay. Well,
this would be after strong. This is the last resort. I don't want this to be the first go around. It's kind of not natural for me to do that. Right? It's weird. Sure. So say it can be done 100%. Say a man can, the baby has all the genetic information it needs, and all it needs at that fantasy point is just nourishment from the man.
Yeah, you're just holding the body. You're just keeping it alive until it's ready to come out.
I wouldn't want to do it, but I would still do it in that circumstance.
That's amazing to hear. I really hope they come up with that technology because you know what? If a woman doesn't want to have a kid, it's her body, her choice. But if you want to hold it, because you have these passionate points, you guys always have a lot to say. Then if you're motivated to do it, then let the men carry the baby, right?
Yeah, there are men who've lost babies just because a woman didn't want to have a child and mourn over an abortion. I know there'd be plenty of men who would do the exact same thing. As much as we harp on it, it's because this hypothetical is just so foreign to us. Because, like I said, it's if you had, what we had, would you just be willing to go out and impregnate every woman you met? It's weird. It's not how you've been raised, so you're rewiring our brain to think in a completely alien format.
Right.
But it is something which I think men would still do it. Men would still actively give birth to the children they want because men actively want to have kids. It's not. Some men just want to go to Pound Town and go about their day. Same thing with women. But there are people who want to have their kids. So I think that would be a good alternative if that ever happened. I don't think I want it to happen because I feel we're just kind of violating what it means to be human. We could be whatever we want. Genders don't matter at that point. But that's a philosophical topic for maybe a different debate.
Well, yes, all I have to say is if you are a man that's pro-choice, and if you're passionate about this, then you should be willing to follow that up by action, right? So I think it's a good thing. Right, and I hope that they make that make that medical advancement to where, if the woman doesn't want to carry it, but the man is very emotionally invested in the unborn baby's life, okay, well then he could carry it, You
I
guys
get the
can make the
sentiment
difference.
behind the invention. If it was just purely that simple, I would wholeheartedly agree. But we've had technology made with good intentions be used heinously. So the implications of what would come of that is, I know, a whole different debate. I don't think I would support it just because, like, with AI, we're losing artists. With AI, we're losing music, all that stuff. So
how would
kind
it
of
be
blurs the line of
misused?
what it needs to be a man and a woman.
But how would it blur the line?
If any man could be a woman, then transgender men
it's not being a
legitimately just be
woman.
women.
No. So all it is that they would safely transport the baby into your belly, and then when it's done cooking, take it out of your belly, but you're still the same man. This does not affect your gender. It's just cooking in your body instead of the girl's body.
It still feels there would get blurred lines. Not, well, like, medically there. Just people would take it as, like, I got pregnant, I gave birth to him, I'm the mother, but I have a willy kind of thing. It's just a whole, it's a super long debate that I don't think we want to get into because it's all hypothetical.
Right.
I think it'd be better if we just focused on our reality, because I don't know if you want to entertain chat with, hey, men, if you got pregnant, would you want to give birth to a baby? Can you be a mother and a man at the same time? Like, I don't know if you want to entertain chat with that, because that's crazy.
I mean, I'm just saying, it's mainly men that are pro-choice no matter what. Fuck it all. Fuck the white. So it's like you guys are the ones that are so passionate. And if you ask me, I mean, maybe you guys are the better moms.
If we were to just leave it at that, I would agree, yes.
Okay.
I would still think.
I really hope that they develop that. What do you guys think?
I have my hesitations. That's all I'm going to leave it with. So we've agreed on a lot. If you want to return to the original debate topic, let me know. But
yeah, no, I might let somebody.
We have a lot more ground to cover here.
Oh yeah, was there anything else you wanted to cover? Because was there? Because I thought we finished. Go on.
My whole approach is we should make sex more like exclusive again, more intimate again. And I don't know how long we've debated, but maybe I think we've kind of ran our course.
Right.
And maybe somebody else wants to run at the stage. I'll go at it.
All right, well, appreciate it. I'll see you in chat.
All right, I'll see you around.
All right. Okay, who wants to be that? Man, every single pro-life dude, like, or anti-abortion motherfucker is always same shit. Of course, it's like they literally sacrifice the relationship with their daughter and wife for this. It's crazy, but then you ask them, would you carry it? Hesitation. Okay, so who is next? The topic was originally OF, but yeah, if you guys want to debate, add me on Discord, olive oil run. But what do you guys think? I mean, if you are a guy that's anti-abortion, I'd hope you'd be willing to carry it. If you think that it's unacceptable to allow a loss of a potential life, that you'd be willing to force somebody to carry it, then does that stop when it's you carrying it? Is it, or are you guys serious about this and would carry it yourself? But yeah, absolutely, Brad. This is not only abortion, right? So any kind of incel, misogynistic thing you guys want to debate. I'm going to restart the live, okay? So everybody join the new live. I'm literally just starting a new one. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the new stream. Join the new one.